Very warm good evening. Very warm good evening to everyone present here. I request the presidents of the partnering associations, Indian Chamber of Commerce, Coimbatore, Mr. Rajesh Lund, Chairman of Institute of Indian Foundrymen, Coimbatore, Mr. Veluswamy, CODISSIA Vice President, Mr. Rangasamy, to please come on to the dais, please. I also welcome Mr. K.R. Shekhar, Regional Managing Partner, Deloitte Limited, Mr. Sudhakar Sethuraman, Partner, Deloitte Limited, Ms. Deepa Seshadri, Partner, Deloitte Limited, Mr. Vimal Kothari, Director, Deloitte India Limited, Mr. S. Sundareswaran, Executive Director, Messrs. Deloitte Limited, Mr. S. Vinod, Associate Director, Messrs. Deloitte India Limited, Mr. Rajiv Sundar, Partner, Messrs. Deloitte India Limited. Very warm welcome to you all, sir. I request that everyone be please seated on the dais. I request the Chairman of Institute of Indian Foundrymen, Mr. K. Veluswamy, to please welcome the gathering.
Good evening. I'm not hearing anything. Good evening. Good. Good evening to our distinguished guests, industry leaders, friends. I'm very happy to welcome you all for this very important meeting. Thank you for coming here on time. At 5 o'clock we are able to start. Okay, we are late, right? I know Coimbatore is fighting with Bangalore, not for IT, to become on traffic side. Most of the people would have got stuck up in traffic, and or otherwise you would have got stuck up in some meetings. 5 o'clock is a bit early for us. If it's 7 o'clock, it would have been better. Today, this meeting is important. In fact, we were discussing with this team. Normally, we think Deloitte means very expensive. Not for us. Like one of my friends said, Kachalukku corporate hospital ponuma. If you want to go to Deloitte, it was the perception what we had. But today, I think our team has explained to us, it's not so. MSMEs, we have to do a lot of balancing act. What we do in the morning, we are engineers. In the afternoon, we become finance experts. In the evening, then we become HR person. We have to manage everything. And the night, then we start reading government circulars about business, HR, everything. Generally, we have one problem. All MSME entrepreneurs, the moment somebody say labor, we get tensed. Labor is something, this only unique thing about labor, that's both liability and as well asset. If you have a good labor, it's asset. If they become a bad one, then they become liability. So managing this is a very big problem for all the MSME people. So for that, we don't have to struggle to understand. Most of the time we cannot read the government circulars. Yeah? It never comes in one single thing. People go for digital, and today something like everything has become digital, including arrest. Now we have digital arrest. So to understand this labor codes, cyber crimes, everything, we don't have to excuse our brains. We have the experts here from Deloitte. They are going to explain to us in simple terms where we can understand, and I hope all of us will make use of this opportunity. If you have any doubts, please clarify, ask doubts, and make use of this very useful for our business. So once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Veluswamy. I request the Chamber of Commerce, Coimbatore President, Mr. Rajesh Lund, to please address the gathering.
Thank you, Veluswamy, for delivering the welcome address and formally commencing today's program. I had the opportunity to meet the Deloitte team in Coimbatore last month, exactly 1 month back, thanks to my good friend, Mr. C.R. Rajagopal, told me to participate in their budget meeting at Residency Hotel. And I was truly impressed by the depth of knowledge and practical insights they shared. During that interaction, I requested Mr. Rajiv Sundar to consider organizing a program for us in Coimbatore on labor code and other important industry topics, which I was highly impressed. To my present surprise, he readily agreed to address on these various critical topics, and I am very grateful to Mr. Rajiv Sundar and the Deloitte team for their willingness to support this initiative. From the beginning, my intention was that this program should not benefit only the chamber members, but also serve the wider industry community. Therefore, we have organized this session in collaboration with fellow associations so that the knowledge shared today reaches a larger audience. I'd like to acknowledge with appreciation that Deloitte has not charged anything for conducting this program, reflecting their commitment to industry engagement and knowledge sharing. I am confident that our members will gain valuable takeaway from today's sessions. We are privileged to have with us an eminent panel of experts from Deloitte who bring deep domain expertise and rich industry experience. Their insights will help us to better understand the changing regulatory and technological landscape, as well as the practical steps businesses can take to adopt and strengthen their operations. I look forward to their sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh Lund. I request CODISSIA Vice President, Mr. Rangasamy, to please give the context of the meeting.
Good evening all. Mithun, thank you. So I thank Rajesh Lund for an opportunity given to us. So it would have not been possible without him to bringing a Deloitte. And ivar sonna mara Deloitte na allarume vandu corporate, we can't afford them அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி தான் இருந்துச்சுங்க. But today morning I had a discussion with Rajesh. He said MSME பத்தி கண்டிப்பா வேணும், அதை பத்தி தான் உங்க டாபிக் இருக்கணும்னு அப்படின்னு சொன்னாரு. So I have got some few points for you, so where you can help us. So the first main area where you can help us will be the strategy and business growth consulting. So helps us MSME to be competitive in the market and scalability, and digital transformation and technology adaptation. Today's order of the world for us, we lack in those things, and we need guidance and hand-holding support from your end, and financial advisory and access to credit. அவர் சேகர் சார் சொன்ன மாதிரி லாட் ஆஃப் ஃபார்மல் கிரெடிட் வந்து நம்மளுக்கு கிடையாதுங்க, அவ்வளோ லிமிட்டடாக தான் இருக்குது எம்எஸ்எம்இக்கு. ஸோ வி நீட் கைடன்ஸ் ஆன் தட். அண்ட் த கேப் பிட்வீன் கிரெடிட் ரேஷியோ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இட்ஸ் அபவுட் 10 to 20 lakh crore எம்எஸ்எம்இக்கும் ஃபண்டிங் பண்ண முடியாமல் இருக்கிற பேங்க்கும் இருக்கிற கேப் அவ்வளோ இருக்குங்க. ஸோ மச் ஆஃப் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் அவைலபிள், வி ஆர் நாட் ஏபிள் டு டச் தோஸ் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் தி பேங்க்ஸ் ப்ராசஸிங்க. ஃபினான்ஸ் மினிஸ்டர் ஒன்று சொல்கிறாங்க, பட் பேங்க் அலோவ் பண்ணுறது இல்லை. தோஸ் ஆர் த திங்ஸ், கிரே ஏரியாஸ், எஸ் வி ஹேவ் டு ரியலி அட்ரஸ். And அடுத்தது வந்துங்க the tax, GST and regulatory compliance. We have to simplify lot of rules where ease of doing business has to come. Government, yes, they have done lot of rationalization of tax, but ease of doing business is the prime place where we lose and we bleed money in, just spending lot of time in replying the notices given by the department. அடுத்தது வந்து export and global market support. So since Deloitte is an international dominance is there, presence is there, all the places. So your expertise we can use, you can just share, we can use. So for our growth, because MSMEs contribute about 46% of export turnover in India alone. So MSME is becoming the main part. See, for example, you take iPhone. So though they have come to Hosur and Bangalore and other places, MSME forms the biggest stopgap for them to supply all the products from the down the line for them to produce the phones. And the next is the skill training and capacity building. Yes, definitely we need it. So capacity building illama panna mudiyadunga. So those are the areas we need. And the last point is where it's very interesting for us is renewable energy and battery storage solution to MSMEs to pay power cost, save power cost. With continuous increase in power cost year on year, Deloitte should assist MSME to identify the gap to save the cost by adopting renewable energy and battery storage systems. This is very vital for us. Our raw material is electricity right now, so we need those expertise from your end. So we need the expertise. And to be in simple terms, Deloitte should help MSMEs by improving strategy, technology, finance, compliance, and market access, enabling them to grow faster and compete globally. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rangasamy. We would like to honor and thank the guests for coming today. They have taken their valuable time out of their busy schedule. They have flown in, they are staying the night over and spending and giving their experience to us free of cost, most importantly. I request Mr. Rajesh Lund to kindly honor Mr. K.R. Shekhar, Regional Managing Director and Leader, Messrs. Deloitte Limited. I request Mr. Rajesh Lund to please honor Mr. Sudhakar Sethuraman, Partner, Messrs. Deloitte India. Thank you, Mr. Rajesh Lund. I request Mr. V. Rangasamy, Vice President, CODISSIA, to honor Ms. Deepa Seshadri, Partner, Messrs. Deloitte India. I request Mr. Vimal Kothari, Director, Deloitte India, to please come forward. I request Mr. V. Rangasamy to honor him. Thank you, Mr. Rangasamy. I request Mr. K. Veluswamy, Chairman, Institute of Indian Foundrymen, to honor Mr. Sundareshwaran, Executive Director, Messrs. Deloitte India. I request Mr. S. Vinod, Associate Director, Messrs. Deloitte India, to please step forward. Mr. Veluswamy, please request you to kindly honor him, please. Next we have Mr. Rajiv Sundar. Request Mr. K. Veluswamy to honor Mr. Rajiv Sundar, Partner, Messrs. Deloitte India. Thank you all. We now move on to the sessions. We have 5 sessions. of 15 minutes each. We will be taking question and answers at the end of the session. But I think if anyone has any questions, I think we can take them in between. We'll try to make it interactive so that it doesn't bore everyone. I'm sure it's not going to be boring, but we'd like to make it interactive. But we will, we have set aside time for question and answers in the end. The first speaker is Mr. K.R. Shekhar, Regional Managing Partner South and Leader, Deloitte Private Limited. Mr. K.R. Shekhar leads Deloitte India's domestic practice and Deloitte Private and serves as regional managing director for the South. He also heads Family Enterprise for Asia Pacific and is a member of the Global Family Enterprises executive team. With over 30 years of experience, he advises companies across their business life cycle on strategy and tax. Mr. Shekhar previously led Deloitte India's global business tax practice and has guided clients on corporate and international taxation, structuring and major tax controversies. Recognized globally as a leading tax advisor, he is also an active industry voice, prolific writer and contributor to tax thought leadership. I welcome Mr. K.R. Shekhar to please address the gathering. In the meantime, I request everyone on stage to please, we'll take the seats in the front so that the screen is visible to the audience. Yeah, we'll take a group photo and then. Yes, please.
So till they take the chairs, before I commence my formal session, I just wanted to dedicate all my life success to my living God and Guru, Kanchi Shankaracharya. Without his blessings, I would not be physically alive today. And I would not be physically addressing before all of you. So I just dedicate everything to his lotus feet and then before I commence my session. Thank you. First, on behalf of Deloitte, I would like to thank Raju Lum for trusting us. First is important is trusting. And then when he came to the budget meet, he said to Rajiv Sundar, my colleague, who is an official point of contact for Coimbatore. So all matters in Coimbatore, you can contact Rajiv Sundar. He is the person for us as far as Coimbatore region is concerned. So he spoke to Rajiv Sundar, I was also there, then can we do a session? And me and Rajiv have been working for almost ever since the day I joined Deloitte, I would put it across. It's almost 25 years. And Raju said, why not we do that? And that's why we started it. And thanks to Raju Lum from Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry for taking the initiative. And of course, I would like to thank all the chambers of commerce to support this and welcoming us with open arms. and the trust that what you will place on us and you're placing on us, we are mindful of it and we are conscious about it. Thank you so much. And Deloitte is not something new to Coimbatore. Our legacy firm Fraser and Ross, which is almost 110 years old right now, 115 years old because we celebrated 100th year in 2007, 118 years for Fraser and Ross that has got her roots in Coimbatore. And Mr. Rajilum C.R. Rajagopal is one of the most highly respected chartered accountant and very good friend of me and Rajiv. He is from Coimbatore. So Deloitte is not new to Coimbatore. Probably somewhere, I do not know why the gap has come, but we are trying to bridge the gap, Mr. Rajiv and everybody. So before I go on to the session, this presentation, there is a lot of points on MSMEs that had come. I just want to address few points here, and then when I would talk about a presentation, I will do that. Deloitte as an organization has got a commitment to the clients, whether it is MSME, startup or a large companies. As one of our former CEOs, Udayan Sen, under whom we worked, used to tell us, the moment you accept them as a client, the quality of the work cannot go down just because their fee is lesser than compared to others. The quality of work has to be same, whether they pay 2 lakh fee or a 2 crore fee, and that is a DNA that we are all got trained. So absolutely we are conscious about it and we will be working on that. And let me just take to probably I will be addressing all these points during a part of my presentation. Who we are. Deloitte as an organization is more than, globally, it is more than 150 years old. And in India, it's an amalgamation of all the legacy firms. If I combine all the legacy firms, it is more than 500 years old Deloitte in India, and I combine all the legacy firms. A strong legacy. And in fact, very interesting discussion came up in one of my meetings in Coimbatore only. I was meeting one of the top-notch chairman. So I was discussing with him. He said, Shekhar, is Deloitte is an MNC or an Indian firm before I want to take a call on giving the work to you? I said, sir, why do you think I'm an MNC? He said, the name Deloitte is not an Indian name. And therefore, I have a doubt. So Deloitte may not be an Indian name, but it's an Indian firm run by the Indians for India. It took almost 2 cups of coffee with him and a 45 minutes discussion with him to convince that Deloitte is an Indian firm. And after that, he called his CIO and then he said, start engaging Deloitte, and we are doing work there with that particular organization. So people have got a perception, is Deloitte an Indian firm? And particularly when you're seeing a lot of social media posts, various things, there's always a perception that gets carried. I'm not getting on to the media posts, that's not my domain, but I'm just giving a thought. Deloitte is an Indian firm. We have a CEO in Deloitte India who is headed by Romal Shetty. He is our CEO. He is based in Bangalore. And we have a Deloitte strong governance board, which is all members of the governance board are all partners of Deloitte India. So it's an Indian firm, out and outright an Indian firm. And there is also a perception, Shekhar, how far you are different from the MNCs. I would like to put only one line. When we mean an MNC, it is an MNC means a company or organization which has got a global presence. Deloitte as an organization has got a global presence, including India, and we manage India affairs by Indians working for India. That's what I would like to put first line about Deloitte. what are all the, why we are trying to bring this slide is something, there is perception about that Deloitte India does work for others. All the nation process, driving the nation progress. HAL. In HAL we work developing a stimulator for HAL, flight stimulator. HAL never had that. We developed the flight stimulator. And then whenever my last slide is about inviting you, many of you, for our innovation center. If you come to our innovation center, you can see and experience the flight stimulator. Ministry of External Affairs, it's a Deloitte that has developed a platform. Today, if anybody struck in any of the countries outside India, and if they get back to India, it is through only Deloitte platform, which is created by Deloitte India for the Ministry of External Affairs. Similarly, Government of Uttar Pradesh, where we are working in a big 1 trillion project, 1 trillion, developing UP to 1 trillion economy, where we are working with the Government of Uttar Pradesh. So we work with all the government organizations. We work with some of the best known Indian institutions like HDFC Bank, Bombay Stock Exchange. We are managing the entire cyber of Bombay Stock Exchange, because even a smallest issue can create it. We are working with Bombay Stock Exchange. ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, State Bank of India, we work with all the Indian banks. Unlocking new relations, we work with all the Indian companies. And I'll come back to Coimbatore companies, which we work at the last slide. Don't ask me, Shekhar, which are all the Coimbatore companies you are working. I'll come to that last slide, that also. I'm coming to last one, value creation. Why that value creation is important is that the growth of the family businesses and the family enterprises in the last 5 years have become very significant. I do not know how many of you have the statistics. Today in India, the family enterprises control 70 to 75% of the assets employed. 65 to 70% of the market cap of India is controlled by the family enterprises. It may not be listed, it may be listed, but it is controlled by the family enterprises. And when we talk about the family enterprises, I am not talking only for the top-notch families, what we said, even the bottom pyramid also has got a control significantly. And the growth of family offices leads to growth of, growth of family enterprises leads to growth of family offices. When the family offices today is growing, just going back to the traditional economy, those days people will have to have investment companies, multiple investment companies, the promoter where he will invest in stock exchange, he will invest in other companies, he will invest in some social organizations. Today the entire investment companies, what the earlier people used to do is become some sort of a family offices. The family office concept has come up very well, by which the family office controls investment, CSR and philanthropy. I divide CSR and philanthropy. CSR is the companies which contribute to take it, and philanthropy is what the promoter has got a personal passion about it. So the growth of the family office has become significant. One of the reasons of growth of family offices is the growth of multi-millionaires and billionaires due to the startups. Now, as an organization, we work with everybody, including philanthropists and family offices. And that is a focus area for an organization like Deloitte, not just the global organizations or big organizations, but also the family enterprise and family offices, which Rajesh Sundar will take it when you do that, but we committed on them. What is this Bharat? Now I answered that 2 points raised by our good friend Deloitte na Jorathukkaga corporate hospital ponama. Fees jasti. The point what we are trying to achieve through Project Bharat, Deloitte is the only organization where we are trying to get this Project Bharat. What is Project Bharat for Deloitte? And one of the challenges that we see in the growth of the mid-sized companies to the next level is lack of strategy advice, lack of governance. When I mean lack, it is not that they are not competent to provide it, but they don't have the time. As one of the presidents said that, morning I start as a production manager, afternoon finance manager, evening HR manager, night I need to read all the regulatory notices. It is not that you are not capable of providing it, but you don't have time to spend on that. Now, that's the first challenge. Second challenge, when the organizations go from one level to the next level, and when you are asking a capital from a third person, corporate governance becomes very, very important. Everybody would like to look at what is a corporate governance that organizations are adopting. How do they separate the ownership from the governance? Is the ownership and governance is one and the same? That's all the concept that is coming up. Now, Deloitte as an organization, having served in this country, as I said, a combined of 500 years or more, it is our responsibility to ensure that every corporate becomes a good citizen. Every organization should become a good citizen, because we have seen the organizations which are failed due to the lack of governance. And that's one of the reasons where we conceptualized Project Bharat. In fact, Deloitte did a report with the Indian Venture Capital Association 4 years back, and where the statistics said that more than 2/3 of the startups fails due to the lack of governance. It's not about anything, it's not about the lack of technology, lack of product, lack of intelligence. 2/3 of the organizations fail due to the lack of governance. And Deloitte as an organization has got a responsibility and commitment. That's one of the reasons why this Project Bharat has happened. Essentially, when we mean Project Bharat, is nothing but what Honorable Finance Minister said in her finance budget speech, Corporate Mitra. In fact, Deloitte took much ahead of her. What we are trying to help is that we are trying to help all the organizations in the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, prepare them for the future, either in the form of strategy, as one of my friends said, or in the form of governance, or in the form of raising a capital from the market, or helping them with alliances. That is what we are trying to attempt. And we started this last year, thanks to the vision of our CEO, who has got a, who wants take Deloitte to a Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and that's the reason we are working on this. Now, when we mean Project Bharat, these are all the clusters that we take, and Coimbatore stands first for me. And why, I'll come little later about the Coimbatore market. And the solutions, these are all the solutions. You can ask me, Shekhar, how are you going to deliver the solutions? You guys, whether I'll get a quality resources, because your quality resources will go for MNCs, Microsoft, Google and all. Why do you give the top-notch resources to an organization which pays 1/3 or 1/5 of the MNC's pay? What is the reason for you? I accept your moral commitment, moral responsibility, all those things. Ultimately, you are not a charitable organization, you are also a corporate organization where you need to make money. How are you going to do that? You may have a question. If not, you should have that question. Simple. Thanks to technology. Today, my technology solutions, for example, Mr. Sundaresan will be speaking about tax technology, where we created an artificial intelligence product called Pragya. And we are coming out with a technology platform called Vardhan. The technology platform will help you to completely take care of all your compliances in one platform. And that is what Honorable Finance Minister said in her speech, that we will be developing a technology platform as a corporate mitra. We are developing a technology and we are going to launch in somewhere in the next month, we are going to launch that. And definitely we are mindful for Coimbatore, and we are going to have a demo that platform in Coimbatore in the next session, sir. Similarly, cyber. Deepa is here. She has got a very good platform on cyber which will help you out. And on last Sunday, we opened a cyber training in Bangalore, which will help you to reduce the cost of services, and at the same time you get a better service from Deloitte. So all those things, when I'm putting it, is not in the PPT model, it's just not in a PPT. It is possible and we have executed it. We have delivered it. And the most important aspect about the fees. Deloitte as an organization has invested in some of the good companies. And we have grown with the organizations. We have grown with the organizations which has gone on IPO, which became what was a small company which turned out in the big company. We have invested in the organizations. But let me be very clear, we will invest in the organizations which are ethically sound, have a right moral principles, and governance is very important. We follow these three principles, and any organization that has got these three, we are prepared to invest. And we go back, I go back to my CEO, what Udayan Sen said, moment we take an assignment, the quality cannot be compromised. That's our motto. Yeah. Why I focus this is very important because my friend Deepa Seshadri is here. She has got 2 of her clients got the awards. So this is a unique program which we run, what we call the Best Managed Companies and Enterprise Growth Awards. And we are trying to little bit change in the current year. And this comes under my overall umbrella of Deloitte Private and Domestic Market. This is exclusively for the Indian companies who are managed by the families. Enterprise Growth Awards are the companies where we give an award based upon the growth of the revenue plus what is their contribution on CSR. And the Best Managed Companies is about an award where the companies are evaluated based upon the 5 pillars. And those 5 pillars where we have a lab, we have a session with them, we help them to do that, and then they come to the awards, and it is decided by an independent jury. And first time in the Coimbatore, we had 3 companies coming from Enterprise Growth Awards, and also they participated in the Best Managed Company, they win the Best Managed Companies Awards. Walkaroo, Pricol and Seshai paper boards are the awards from the EGA. In fact, I should tell the joke about it. So we sent to one of the companies, I don't want to name it, it's not right on my part. We sent an invitation to them. They gave the data. They were adjudged winners. So we sent an invitation to participate in the event. Unfortunately, we sent an invitation to the person who has left by the time our award started celebration. They did not know that they got an award. So finally, we chased that company, and then me and few others came all the way from Bangalore to that company, and then we gave the award. The chairman said, first time somebody is coming to my door and giving me an award. So we recognize the companies, and these 3 companies participate in the Best Managed Company because one step above the Enterprise Growth Awards is Best Managed Company. We had 2 winners in the Best Managed Company, what we call the Jury Special Awards. Why I want to mention the Jury Special Awards is that, I do not know whether I have a slide on the juries. Yeah, sorry. We got a phenomenal jury for the Best Managed Companies. Kalpana Murparia, former chairman and joint managing director of ICICI. Ganapati Subramaniam, the CEO of TCS. UK Sinha, former SEBI chair. And Harish Bijur, the brand management consultant. All of them are so happy about those 2 Coimbatore companies. They said, Shekhar, we would like to give them a jury special award. And one of the jury members said that, Shekhar, I would like to work with that organization to mentor them and take them to the next level. So what happens is that when an organization like this is coming up, we all support you to grow up, will help you to grow up, and you also get an opportunity to interact with the top-notch people as the jurors. That helps you out. Now coming to Coimbatore. And in my view, Coimbatore is one of the top-notch industrial market in South. Not that I am saying it because I am staying in Coimbatore, I am in Coimbatore, because this is my view right from the day one. Thanks to technology push, Bangalore took a lead beyond Coimbatore and it went up. If you go back to 1970s and 80s, there are only 2 industrial centers, Chennai and Coimbatore in the south. Then Bangalore came, thanks to various reasons. But Coimbatore is always considered as a Manchester of the South. That is what I used to read in my younger days in geography. How do you describe Coimbatore? I used to, in one word answer, it's called Manchester of the South. It still retains that character. A GDP of 1.86 lakh crore of 0.9% of India GDP. And as per the predictions, 0.9% can go to 1.2 to 1.3 in the next 3 years. That's what the prediction says. based upon the economic growth. 14th most competitive city in India in terms of business environment. And 40 plus listed companies in Coimbatore. 40 plus. Very phenomenal one. Core sectors, textile, ITS, healthcare, manufacturing, auto components. 3 lakh plus MSMEs around Coimbatore district, and the largest MSMEs within Tamil Nadu is from Coimbatore. Textiles exports 5,000 crore and IT 15,000 crore. And R&D digital company and GCC firms almost 75,000 professionals. A phenomenal landscape of Coimbatore. So I would not like to say Coimbatore is a small town or a small industrial town. It has got a potential to hit a big industrial town. Now when a market is like this, it is a more responsibility for Deloitte to nurture this market into a greater market. Give an outreach for them, and that is what we are here for. And the last was very important because that's one of the points that was raised about the GST and technology compliances. I was fortunate enough to be invited by the Honorable Finance Minister in the last week. What Prime Minister has got a webinar on budget implementation steps, and one of the topic came tax reforms, ease of living through tax reforms, not ease of doing business, ease of living through tax reforms. And one of the important areas that came was, it was an income tax matter, what is called the lower withholding tax for small taxpayers through a technology. And the Honorable Finance Minister said that it should not be just a withholding tax, we should encourage technology by that. All the small taxpayers get embraced to that. And the question cropped up, what is the definition of small taxpayer? So as a group, there is a group and we all went, and then finally when I had an opportunity to present before the Finance Minister, I said, don't create a new definition, ma'am. Let's have a definition of MSME, what is there in the MSME definition. Let's take it to the small taxpayers. Give them the benefit of technology so that they can take it across. And also the GST matter, sir. As a chamber and as from a Deloitte, we are advocating for single GST audit based on PAN audit rather than a GST number audit. In fact, we said that Deloitte has also got a strong advocacy team, and many of you, we are the people who created the position paper for GCCs. And I was personally leading the initiative on the last Finance Minister budget speech on safe harbor for transfer pricing and other 2 initiatives for GCCs. So we work with the government on various matters, including MSMEs. And during the COVID time, there was a corporate organization, NBFC, but in the form of a philanthropy. They wanted to give a loan for all the MSMEs, and Deloitte as an organization worked with them to support the MSMEs at pro bono. We did not even charge fees. So we do that, and we are working with the government to come out with a easier ease of doing business for MSMEs. I hope in the next 1 or 2 years it should be there. And Rajiv Mitra, my other partner, was a panelist of the latest one called National Earth Minerals. So he was a panel. So we get that across. Coimbatore, our presence. These are logos. I don't have to talk about the logos. You know the logos, what we work. And our engagements, these are all the engagements. And why I bring this Coimbatore is that, as I said, it's a place where we have the listed companies, we have the MSMEs who can grow up. And we have the talent. Deloitte as an organization has got a talent and the people, and you have got all the energy. And definitely we look forward to partnering with every one of you. And again I reiterate, we are prepared to invest on the organizations which has got a potential to grow. And we will do that. And I have a partners, and Deloitte as an organization has got 995 partners plus directors, what we call the executive directors. And we are all committed to serve the clients. And definitely, we are here for your growth and make sure that we partner with your growth. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. K.R. Shekhar. It was quite nice to know that MSMEs are on the radar of the big four. It is a little reassuring, but I think we need to establish a deeper connect to understand what more can.
Since my good friend talked about a technology for MSMEs and cyber, what we can do, sir, is that somewhere in the next month, I will request my team to take you through the platform for the entire technology for MSMEs, how they can work with you. Take to the organization, give us a half a day time where we can take you through everything. Rather than just today, Mr. Sundaresan will be doing a broad level that will just give some sort of a synopsis. We will take you through so that you get it across and you can start looking at it, sir.
Thank you, sir. If an event of like that happens, we assure you of a crowd of at least about 200 to 250 people. People are itching to know how they can do better, what AI means for them. No one knows in MSMEs, and who better than Deloitte to let us know. Next up is Mr. Sudhakar Sethuram. He along with so Mr. Sudhakar Sethuram will be discussing on the labor codes. As you know, the new labor law codes have been passed by the parliament, and it's awaiting I think the states have to give their suggestions, and for it to become mandatory, and the labor codes. I think Mr. Sudhakar Sethuram will give us a little more insight into the labor law codes. Mr. Sudhakar Sethuram is a partner with over 23 years of experience in taxation with deep expertise in corporate tax and transfer pricing. He currently leads Deloitte India's employee mobility practice for the southern region and manages key client relationships across manufacturing, GCCs, technology and banking sectors. He has advised clients on designing and implementing integrated mobility programs covering tax, social security and labor code registrations. Known for his holistic problem-solving approach, he brings together relevant Deloitte India teams to address broader business needs. Sudhakar is also a regular speaker at professional forums and contributes his views on personal tax matters in print and online media. Over to you, Mr. Sudhakar.
So good evening. Can you hear me clearly? Sorry about the throat. I think Coimbatore, I thought there would be a warm welcome from Coimbatore, but the hills surrounding this place, for someone coming from Chennai, it was pretty cold to take it up. But having said this, I have a very short presentation. I will do it for about 25-30 minutes. The objective of this presentation is threefold. Number one is giving an overview about labor codes. How, as a professional, you should be reading the provisions. You don't have to be an expert on that. That is not what is required, but the framework part. Number two, how some of the definitions are worded in the labor code, which is going to create implications for employer as well as to the employees. That would be the second part of the discussion today. The third part is going to be on some of the ancillary aspects around the labor code related things, right? So that would be what we are, I'm intending to cover in this. In fact, labor code as a topic is quite vast, and this is a new legislation in India, and maybe if Mr. Rajesh Lund or others organizers, if they are okay with this, we can even do a separate exclusive workshop on this topic for this region. Right. Now, having said this, so India has gone through, if you look back the last 20 years, has gone through various reforms, whether it is going to be GST, whether it is going to be income tax, company law, something or other is happening. So labor reforms is one critical element where government has been looking at transforming the labor industry in India for the last 25-30 years. So in 2020, the government came up with 4 labor codes which consolidated some of the existing 29 central labor law regulations in India. Okay. Now the first important point. In India, labor is not a subject of either the state or the center, but it is a subject for both. Just to give a perspective, agriculture. Who can levy income tax on agriculture in India? It's only the state that can do. So agriculture is a state subject, not a central subject. But when it comes to the income tax or GST or company law is concerned, it is a central subject. On that reasoning, labor is not a exclusively state or an exclusively central subject. It is a place where both central and state are going to play. This is immensely important when you read the provisions, because I often hear over the last 5-6 years I have heard that our state is not going to support because we are not aligned with the central ministry. West Bengal has not come up with any rules. So how labor code implementation is going to be feasible? So we will unwrap those things in the next few minutes. This labor code, when they have amalgamated these 29 regulations, there is a method to this madness, right? There is a beauty with which they have done it. It is not a simple case of first 10 pages is going to be payment of wages. Next 20 pages is going to be on gratuity. That is not how they have done. They have brought in a uniformity with reference to definition. For example, you want to see what is wages for the purposes of gratuity. Gratuity is not covered in the code on wages, it is covered in code on social securities. But the definition is given in code on wages. So the wage definition is given in code on wages, right? So there is, as I said, there is a method to this madness. They have structured it so beautifully that you don't have multiplicity of definitions. There is consistency when it comes to definition or terms is concerned, because it is going to be important. When government is talking about ease of doing business, right? There is no fun in for corporates to file 29 returns on labor related aspects. Can you imagine how much time and efforts are going to get into it? So you cannot achieve this objective of filing just one return without bringing in standardization, without bringing in uniformity. So labor code is one major thing they have done, is they have brought in uniformity of definition. I said in the beginning that I'm going to cover 3 things, right? Uniformity of definitions, market, because that is going where I'm going to dwell deep in the second discussion for today. That is the place where there is going to be significant financial implications for corporates as well as to employees. There is a lot of measures the government is looking at when it comes to these labor codes are concerned, including the ease of implementation. They are trying to make everything digital, electronic. We would get to hear more in the next few days. Now what has happened between 2020 and now is, on 21st of November 25, the government notified that the labor codes are going to be effective from this date. So 21st November 2025 is the date of birth insofar as labor code is concerned. So I don't know, it's a very interesting topic, right? So initially it got the presidential assent, but it was not notified. It was notified, but rules were not fully in place so as to implement 100% of the regulations. So what the government did is, in December, they came up with 4 new rules. When I say government, I mean the central government. When they say rules, I mean the central rules for each of these regulations covered under the labor code. 4 new regulations, rules they come up with. It were for public debate until 14th or 15th of February. Based on the public feedback, the government will be notifying these rules. You can expect an effective date or a go live date to be from 1st of April 2026, once the rules are notified by the government. So far, any questions? Right, 2 points.
Elections are coming. How will April 1st be the date for state government notification?
Yeah, so I'll come to that in a minute. That's a valid point. Now, 2 things you need to note here. Number 1, see, the labor codes provisions are drafted in such a way that it is not dependent on what the state governments are going to come up and say when it comes to the implementation is concerned, which only means state governments have the power to offer something which is more than what is offered in the central rules or which is more beneficial. For example, you take the case of floor rate. Floor rate in a particular industry, if the central government is going to notify at 21,000, either Tamil Nadu can offer more than 21,000, in which case companies doing business in Tamil Nadu should follow the TN state rules. If either Tamil Nadu is silent or Tamil Nadu is offering a lesser value, for corporates it is a deemed compliance that you follow the central rules per se and you don't follow the state rules. So if you extend this logic slightly, West Bengal. West Bengal has not come up with even one rule. In Tamil Nadu at least they came up with 3 draft rules. In West Bengal there is not one rule. What it means? Does it mean corporates don't have to do any compliance in West Bengal on labor code? No, the answer is not that. The answer is the compliance should be with reference to the central rules and not with reference to the state rules. State governments, by not coming up with their rules or not protesting, in a way they are trying to give up their rights to voice for the employees working in their state. The second point, the state, the labor codes, which is important here, especially where you have MSMEs, where the promoter is going to run the business, as Sir highlighted at the beginning today, they will be wearing multiple hats. They have decriminalized several of the offences under the labor codes. This is one important element. I won't say all the offences are decriminalized under labor code. Several of the offences have been decriminalized under the labor code, which means there is no personal criminal liability on the individual for a non-compliance. However, there would still be prosecution action which will be taken, penalty values which will be high, but at least as an individual, when the promoter wants to go to meet his or her children overseas, they don't have to say that if any criminal proceedings was initiated in their name. In the application, they can still say that no. Okay? So this is one critical aspect which should be factored or taken into account. So just to sum up the first part, labor codes have been issued and they are effective 21st of November. Draft rules are awaiting government's notification. The go live date could be 1st of April 2026. When you are reading labor codes, you need to read the labor codes by giving considerable weightage to the central rules and not to the state rules, unless and until the state rules are going to offer anything more. Having said this, now let us get a slightly deeper look. In fact, we would be sharing these slides, so I think you can hear out rather than the photo part of it. So the term wages, this is one important topic, just focus with attention if I may request. The term wages is defined in the Code on Wages under section 2 subsection Y. There was no problem. The definition called out what is included within the wage definition. The definition called out what can be excluded from the wage definition. So it is in legal parlance, we would say that it is a inclusive definition, but when it comes to exclusions are concerned, it is specific. So which means corporates cannot over-engineer their salary structure and come up with a salary structure which is going to minimize the impact of labor code or social security benefits to the employees, right? So this is one major change. I think we will see the definition in a minute, but the issue is not with that. The issue is on 30th of December, the government issued an FAQ. Okay. When I say the government issued an FAQ, FAQ don't come from the central government in the form of circular or notification. It comes from the labor department. Legally, right? An FAQ don't have the same legal backing as that of an act or a rule or a circular or even a notification, because these things come from the act of the parliament, while the FAQ is more an interpretation from the department's side. Now the logical question is, so what? if department is going to interpret wages in a particular manner, what is the challenge? That's logical, right? The issue is not between the company and the department. The issue could be an employee can go and tell the court that, see, if I have been paid social security benefits as per the wage definition given in the code on wages 2Y by following inclusions and specific exclusions, my wage value could be much higher. But under the FAQ, my wage value is in a way restricted. So this FAQ is restricting my my entitlement. So the employee can ask the court to set aside the FAQ and direct the employer to give the benefits as in the act. This is one significant element which we need to know. So what is the answer here? If you have, this is the reality we are living in, because this is what came in 30th of December. It's now almost 2.5 months we are living with this reality. Now what is the option available here is, we can expect the government to give a legal color to this FAQ. So when they are notifying the final rules in the next week or 10 days, perhaps you can expect the government to come up and then clarify that the FAQ will take the color of a circular or a notification, so that the benefit intended to be given to the employee by way of a lesser wage definition would continue to hold water insofar as interpretation is concerned, right? Now this is one major change. If you are clear with this, then I will get on to the implications this is going to have on other aspects. So there are two definitions. One is given in the Act, second one is given in the FAQ. FAQ don't have a legal validity. So as a corporate, you need to follow the provisions of the Act and wait for the government to come and clarify the FAQ and give a legal color to it. Till such time, you need to follow the provisions of the Act. Now what would happen if you do that? So this is how the term wage is defined in the Act. So I'll answer this question in a minute. So as I said, the inclusions are pretty wide. Anything that is paid as a consideration for employment is remuneration. That is how they define. You start with remuneration, you get on to specific exclusions, right? Such that your exclusions cannot be more than 50%. Okay. So for example, if let's say there is a salary of 100, I cannot, HRA is an exclusion here. Can you see it here, right? HRA is the fifth or sixth item here. HRA is an exclusion. Now, what the government is trying to do is, let's say on 100 rupees salary, if I have basic of 20, and if I say 80 is going to be my HRA, right? And HRA is an exclusion. So I will continue to do compliance on wages, which is 20. But the government don't want this to happen. So they said that if the exclusions value is going to be more than 50%, then there will be a concept of deemed inclusion which will arise. So which means they would add 20, 30 from this to the basic salary and then arrive at the wage definition for the company, right? So this is going to be important. So when you are looking at your employees' component benefit structuring, you need to take into account under the current structure. If you put that in a file, in an Excel file, and then do the computations and see how it is translating from a wage definition point of view, you need to have this element of clarity. So naturally, what will happen is, that we have seen that has been happening over the last 6 years or so in the industry is, the so-called basic that we used to say, right? Basic plus DA, basic salary, loss drawn basic. Wherever that number is at 35, 30, 40, 45%, companies are seeing a significant increase, because under this definition, you cannot have wages which is less than 50%, because your exclusions cannot be more than 50, correct? So what happens is, there is a significant financial impact which is coming to companies on account of this labor code related proposal. So where the financial impact, so do you all agree about the financial impact? Right, okay. So where the financial impact could be? right? So, okay, the wage definition is increasing. So, what as a company should do? The first major financial impact is going to be on gratuity, because gratuity is with reference to the past services an individual has rendered to the company. And so far we have been calculating gratuity with reference to last drawn basic. But now under the labor code, the entire shift undergoes there is a significant shift, and we have to compute with reference to wages. Just to give a numerical example, let's say the basic was 30, but wages happens to be 51 or 52. Right? We are talking almost what? More than 50% increase in the wage definition under the existing act vis-a-vis the proposals in the labor code. If you apply that on the gratuity formula for somebody who has rendered 10 years of service or 15 years of service, the speed at which the person is going to catch 20 lakhs or exceed 20 lakhs is going to be rampantly fast. It's not going to be slow. You might have thought all our employees to exceed a 20 lakh limit, if suppose that is what your policy is saying, will be another 10 years. But with this amendment, it may not happen in 10 years, it could be happening at 4 years or 3-year period. Again, this 4 or 3 year is a number which I have made up. It depends on the number of years the individual has worked with the company. Right? It depends on what is the wage value for that individual with the company is. So the first financial impact is going to be on gratuity. You might have seen in the balance sheet and in the financial statements that were published after the December quarter is done by several companies. They were looking at, big companies are looking at something like 2,000 crores or 2,500 crores as an impact on account of labor codes, just on account of gratuity alone. The second impact is going to be, they have introduced a concept of fixed term employees. Okay, so fixed term employees means they are not contract people, they are somebody who is on employment, but the tenure of employment is for a fixed period, not an open-ended contract of employment. That is called fixed term employment. So what happens is, so far we don't have to pay gratuity for someone whom a company is recruiting for 2 years. Let's say for example, as an MSME, you might recruit an advisor, senior advisor as your employee, right? Because he has worked with the company for ages and you want to retain him, but you don't want to retain him for more than 2 years. I'm just making up a story. In that situation, under the current law, you don't have to pay gratuity to this gentleman, but under the labor codes, you would have to pay gratuity even for this 2 years of service the person is providing. So the fixed term employee is a concept which has been recognized by the labor codes. In a way, they have also recognized things like gig workers and platform workers. We can expect more clarifications to come from the government on those aspects. So that is going to be a, yes sir.
When you talk about, sorry to interrupt, if it is a principal to principal contract for 1 year, what happens?
Yeah.
Repeat the same.
Correct. So as long as it is not a contract for employment, we don't have a challenge. So it's a B2B contract. So somebody needs an internal auditor. The previous internal auditor has retired from the company. So they want to hire this person or the firm as an internal audit firm and then do it. It's only one partner firm, one man firm, run firm. Then the fixed term employment will not arise. So the critical point is, you have to be very clear that it is not contract. It is not what you generally say. It is what the documents are going to say. What the documents are saying. Are you taking this person as an employee? Are you contributing PF for this individual? Right? Those aspects are going to be critical. Now, there is going to be an impact. This wage definition is going to have an impact on ESI as well. Yeah. Will have an impact on ESI. Unlike gratuity, where the impact is going to increase, PF, where the impact would be neutral, because you can always say that for PF, the minimum PF value is 15,000 and anything more than 15,000 is not a mandatory thing. It is more a personal choice of the individual or the company. So you will not have an impact in PF. Gratuity, it is going to increase. But when it comes to ESI is concerned, the impact could be a mixed impact. The reason is, in the initial, there could be cases, I won't generalize it with reference to the tenure, but there could be cases where somebody might get out of ESI net because in a particular month the person's wage happens to be more than 21,000. It is possible because it depends on what the person has drawn in that month. Whereas under the existing law, it is the gross. Whereas you have to now see with reference to wages. So which means the scope of ESI will also increase. The coverage will also undergo a dwindle because of the fact that it depends on the salary structure of the individual. Why the scope will increase is technically somebody drawing up to 42,000 rupees per month, right? 50% of 42,000 is 21,000. Those people can come within the ESI limit, which means ESI benefit or contributions should increase. So that's why I said there is no one generalized answer as to this is the trend which will happen. You may have to put your number and then see where we are landing with reference to this wage definition is concerned. Leave encashment. This is another area. Again, here the impact could be more or impact could be less depending on how you are currently encashing the leave to the employees and workers. First point, leave encashment for workers is mandatory under the wage code, not for employees. For employees, you are still governed by the Shops and Establishment Act of the relevant states. So for example, in Maharashtra, Shops and Establishment Act would say that there has to be an encashment which should happen. You have to follow that Shops and Establishment Act insofar as employee is concerned. But for workers, it is mandatory that encashment should happen. Number two, employees should be allowed to accumulate 30 days of leave. You cannot say that leave will lapse. Some companies will have a policy. I want my employees to have work-life balance. I want them to take leave and stay with their family. If you don't take leave, your leave will lapse. That is no longer is going to sail through because government is very clear. They said that leave should be up to 30 days should be accumulated, and beyond 30 days it is at the option of the employee to choose to encash or not. So far it's fine. But the impact part of it is, let's say today you don't have the concept of encashment. That means once labor codes are out and operational from April, there will be an increase in cost which will come to you because of leave encashment. Today you have a concept of leave encashment, but you encash with reference to, let's say, gross. Your financial impact will not go up. Instead, your financial impact will come down because labor codes is talking about wages and not gross. So going forward, it is one term which is relevant, which is wages. It is not gross, it is not CTC, it is not any nomenclature which we use in the industry. Those things are done and dusted in a way by the government. The government just want to focus on what is the wage value. So these are typically the four broader elements which is going to have a financial impact. And the root cause for this financial impact is how the term wage is defined. And when you go back and recollect what I said, wage is defined under the Act in a particular manner, under the FAQ in a particular manner. Both of them are talking about 50%, but what is said in the Act is exclusion from a 50% standpoint, but what is said in the FAQ is inclusion from a 50% standpoint. And I can tell you, if you have some interest in data, both are diametrically opposite. They are not 50-50 is not equal to 50, they are diametrically opposite here. So because of that reason, you may have to do the financial impact, try to see whether have you missed taking any of these components which are specific exclusions in your employees' component benefit structure, and if so, is there a need to restructure the salary of your employees, align it with the labor codes. And if you see this income tax budget, what the government has done is, there used to be traditionally children's hostel allowance, children's education allowance, 100 rupees per month per child, subject to a maximum of 2 children. And there is a FAQ also. If in a particular delivery twins are born, then up to 3 children are permitted. So that way those clarifications were going, and we are talking about numbers that were prescribed 40 or 50 years back. Those limits have been increased now in this budget, which means you can still have a more reasonable salary structure for your employees, which take into account both the labor code related requirements and also try to minimize the tax impact on account of considering these exemptions, right? So in this slide, I want to talk about two things. First one is core activity. The second one is mandatory issuing of appointment letters. See, under the current, state laws, if a company has to hire contract laborers, then they need to get approval for doing the contract laborers. There is a contract laborer regulation also in place, and they should not be doing core activity. Those things are there. Labor code is just emphasizing this point. In a typical practical scenario of business, running the business, if contract laborers, without contract laborers, you cannot survive, or rather you cannot exist. It could be for two reasons. One is the seasonal nature of my industry would call for additional labor force for 3 months or 6 months. Maybe between August to December, I need additional labor force to meet the Diwali and the festival related aspects, if you are talking about textiles. So in those cases, there is an exception. But as a company, what you need to do is take a blueprint of your employees working in the company, identify what they do. Okay, it is not, don't go by what is the job description the HR is going to say. Get into the shop floor, identify what the person is doing. Do the same thing insofar as contract laborers are concerned. Identify and map these people as to who is at the risk of crossing this limit and get into a core activity. If so, can any corrections or suggestions be done? We can look into or explore those avenues in that model. The next point I want to talk about is all the existing employment contracts should be reissued after 1st of April. The government has actually come up with a format. Even for existing people, the employment contract would now have to be issued with a UAN of the individual. In the new format, the government is going to notify. Now, this is not a small amendment. Okay, I'll tell you what this is leading to. This is actually a boon for MSME. The reason is, imagine 2 years down the line, what will happen is government will say that, hey, look, for the month of March, this is the employee count I have as per the records that you have submitted, because these employment contracts should be uploaded into the department's portal. This is a salary of these people. Based on the returns you file, the government will update those records. They will work out for March what is the PF you need to contribute, what is the ESI you should do, how many people are getting in or coming out of ESI. All those values will be captured by the government, and that would be coming as a report to you. Just like imagine what is happening with 26AS in the income tax. It is not coming to you, but perhaps you can access it, right? The same thing will happen insofar as these provisions are concerned, and we are not far off. And if you ask me, this could perhaps be one of the biggest motivators from a government standpoint to ease the way in which the labor related compliances are happening. If that is going to happen, you don't have to talk to any inspector, right? You just send an email, say that I agree, or I don't agree, your computations are all mistake, and here is the right computations I have. The entire approach from a compliance standpoint will come and will take a new perspective under these proposals. Okay, I'll stop now. I'm conscious of time. It's almost 30, 32, 35 minutes which has taken. If there are a couple of questions I can take, or you want to do the next session? Yeah. So overtime is going to be mandatory only for workers. It is coming from the occupational safety and the industry and that code. Now, what is overtime is? Overtime, it should be paid at twice the wages, not twice the gross, not twice the basic. It is twice the wages. What is mandate? There were some doubts which were going on. Whether is it applicable for employees? If so, where to draw a line? When will you say that an employee, let's say a CFO, he stopped thinking about the company's welfare? At what point of time? He would say that I go home, I think about the financials. I started mentally making edits. Next day morning I came to office, I did it in my system. These stories can definitely come. So the government is just maintaining the position on overtime, which is 48 hours, more than 48 hours, there has to be an overtime payment which should happen, and that payment should happen with twice the wages. And this 48 hours, the government is giving a flexibility. You can do it even 4 days also in a week. It depends on what the company wants to do. So, the critical nuances, let's say that, sorry, let's say that an employee is working for 12 hours a day on day 1. Day 2, the person works for 8 hours. Day 3, the person works for 9 hours. If the aggregate of all those things are not in excess of 48, then overtime is not applicable. It is not daily overtime, it is weekly overtime, capped with reference to 48 at twice the wages. While twice the wages might initially sound to be a higher number, right? But the reality is that the checks and balances are in place so that it doesn't become a free flow. See, at the end of the day, what will happen is, as sir highlighted at the beginning, you would end up checking the overtime registers of people and then find out what this person did on that particular day. Whereas now you need to do it on a weekly basis and not on a daily basis. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
48 hours per month is allowed.
Beyond 48 hours in a week.
48 hours a week.
Beyond 48 hours.
Will be considered as OT.
Correct.
Beyond 48 hours. Sir, I have what is the difference between treatment in this labor code between labor charges and supply of labor?
Okay.
Generally, the manufacturing industries practice one concept called labor charges. Correct. The material conversions happening, the skilled labor is being used, right? And another thing is that I supply labor.
Right.
How is it distinguished? Who is the principal employer? Where there is the obligation sit?
That's a good question, sir. Now let us take the situation where I have to do some stamping work. I move the material from my factory. It goes to another, supplier, service provider, whatever you call. The person does the stamping. He is involving 100 employees. The stamped material comes back to my factory, then my production starts. Here, there is no requirement or additional nuance from a labor code standpoint comes in, because it is between you as a company and that other person as a company. Instead of buying material, you are giving something to them, ask him to do some work and return it back. But on the other hand, if you keep the same material in your factory and you hire that person and say that I need 50 employees from your company who should be there in my office, they will be my contract laborers. They would have to do the stamping here because I have a stamping facility. Then you get into a contract labor related relationship. Now what happens in a contract labor relationship is the principal employer has the ultimate responsibility. There is no dilution on that front. But under the labor code, the contractor should be paid in advance so as to enable the contractor to make payment of salary, make payment of PF, etc. to his or her employees. So the responsibility has not been diluted even by an inch. But they have actually added more responsibility and say that the principal employer continues to be responsible. Yes, sir.
You repeat that, if I employ a contract in my factory, I have to pay money in advance?
Correct, sir. Correct.
Is it a part of the labor code?
That's a part of the labor code, sir.
Therefore, the working capital requirement for...
Exactly. You are spot on. The working capital for an SME is going to be a challenge here. You have to balance it out, because the feel or fear the government has is the contractors working in sectors are not paid. If you go and ask a contractor, he will say that they are not paying it on time for us. That is a cry they have. The reality could be different. So the government wants to put a full stop to it and say that, boss, you are the principal employer, you are responsible for everything. Just like how you pay to your employee, you pay to these people also. Instead of paying to them, you pay to his person.
How is the compliance monitoring?
Correct. It is for the companies to do the compliance, create a system and then monitor it, sir. So which means if I pay today, I can ask my contractor, you give me the following documents evidencing payment of PF, income tax, challans, whatever it is. I can send my auditor once in a while to the contractor facility to do an audit of this so that there is no manufactured documents comes into picture and things like that.
See, the burden of proof is for us, whether it is a labor supply or a...
Correct.
I think that's a very delicate as far as the SMEs and smaller.
Right.
And secondly, the working capital intensity is improved.
It's very high.
Very high.
Very high.
And that too, if my friend Rajesh runs a real estate company, all his contractors have to be paid in advance.
Okay. Okay. Thanks everyone, and I'll be around here. If for any questions, please reach out. I'm just conscious of time, nothing else. Thank you so much. Deepa.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhakar. As you can clearly see, the subject on labor law codes attracts a lot of attention and a lot of interest. And as you were talking, can just hear people from all directions asking questions, throwing questions at you. Many were not heard by you, luckily because of the scarcity of time. But like you had mentioned, we'll definitely do an event on this. I'm sure we'll have a large attendance, because this is a very confusing code. Many people don't understand the nitty-gritties. Couple of questions after he asked, only many people from that, many people still have doubts from that. So this has to be like a two-way conversation, and we'll definitely do it sometime, sir. Moving on, next we have every week we'll see on our WhatsApp group that some people has scammed someone has stolen money from your bank account. Something or the other, every week new methods are found on how to get scammed. On one side that is happening. On the other side, the government wants us to have more and more digital compliance. So in order to deal with this situation, we have to be very aware of what the cyber laws say and what the trends are. So in line with this, we have Ms. Deepa Seshadri, partner Messrs. Deloitte India, and Mr. Vimal Kothari, director Messrs. Deloitte India. Both will jointly be taking up this session. Ms. Deepa Seshadri leads Deloitte India's CIO and Tech Leadership Client Experience Program, focused on delivering trusted, personalized insight into technology leaders at key moments. With deep expertise in cyber strategy, emerging technologies and governance, risk and compliance, she blends business and technology to drive cyber discussions at the CEO and board level. She also serves as industrial products and construction sector leader, bringing over 25 years of manufacturing industry experience and partnering with major industrial clients to solve complex business challenges. A strong advocate for women in leadership, Deepa mentors emerging professionals and was recognized as one of the top 10 women leaders by Riva University. I'll introduce the both of you together so that you can do it together. Mr. Vimal Kothari, Director, Deloitte India. Mr. Vimal Kothari is a cybersecurity leader working as director based out of Bangalore with over 14 years of experience driving cyber risk governance, supply assurance and resilience programs for global enterprises. He specializes in third-party risk management, cybersecurity maturity assessments, data privacy and ISO 27001 implementation. Vimal has extensive experience working across manufacturing and energy and resources, oil and gas and technology industries. He has partnered with CISOs and global security leaders to design and implement governance frameworks aligned to ISO 27001, GDPR and NIS 2. On to you, Ms. Deepa and Mr. Vimal.
Very good evening to everyone. That was a long introduction of us, but now the way I want to introduce myself is that I'm from Coimbatore, studied in Coimbatore, brought up in Coimbatore, and my family is still here. So that's my background. I'm very proud of anything that happens in Coimbatore, including the Best Managed Company. I think I worked very hard to make sure there are 2 companies featured in that list. Thanks to Shekhar sir for that. So that's quickly about me. The topic that I'm going to be speaking is cyber security. I'm here to frighten everybody a little bit. Is that what you're thinking? Yes, okay. I won't deny that there is lot, when Mr. Rangasamy spoke about the key priorities of MSME, one of the areas that he mentioned was digital transformation. Whenever you're going for digital transformation, the risk of cyber is actually very valid. So we have to be little bit scared about cyber, considering the amount of information and the time that we spend on our mobile phones, the banking applications that we do, we'll need to make sure that, you know, we are secure, right? So the way I look at cyber security will be like a car, right? We are all from Coimbatore, so we are all very fond of cars. So in a car, we have a brake, right? Why do we have brakes in car? To slow down? Sorry? Speed. Exactly like how you have brakes in car so that you can confidently drive faster. Similarly, whenever you're doing digital transformation or using technology, we will need to make sure that the actual cyber controls are there, security controls are there, so that you can drive very fast from with your car, which is your business, right? Nobody in this room can say that they're not using technology, right? There is, most of us are storing data on the cloud, including if we are using our own mobile phones. So to that extent, we will need to make sure that we are aware to see whether the brakes in our cars, we are aware of where the brake is, right? And whether the brake is functioning properly is what I will try to cover between me and my colleague Vimal. That's what we will try to cover. Now, whenever we look at cyber security, we are talking for MSMEs, right? The main thing is, it's not only about the scare of what can go wrong, but if you take care of cyber security, there are a lot of positives that happen, right? So you can ask me, what is positive about taking care of cyber security, right? The first positive about taking care of cyber security is that the market cap, right? You're all looking for, you know, the other priority was in terms of looking for, you know, financial options from an MSME standpoint. If you're able to demonstrate technology and embedding cyber, the market capital, market valuation for your company will be 2x. And this is not figures that I'm just talking about, but reality, right? So if you have the right cyber security measures, the valuation as well as your market capital gets much better, right? The second important thing is cyber insurance, right? All of us take cyber insurance for your companies. Some it is also mandated by the law to take cyber insurance. Because when something goes wrong, we have the cyber insurance which can help us, right? Say, let's take for example, there is a ransomware attack. What is ransomware attack? Somebody has got access to your data and they say that if I will expose this data to the public unless you pay some money, right? So to protect that, we also have cyber insurance, right? So if you have the right cyber security measures, your the cyber insurance is something that can be much better negotiated with the banks and things like that, right? So this is something positive about cyber security. So if you have the right security, that means if you have the right locks, right, your valuation of your house will be much better if you have the right controls in place. Now, just want to also tell you about certain facts. As I said, it is a very worrying subject, right? The first number that I have put is 98 crore. Can someone guess what is 98 crore? Sorry? No, 98 crores is the kind of money that Coimbatore MSMEs have lost because of cyber security incidents. Okay, so this is not somebody else's, it's not topic of someone which is not of somebody in this room, right? It is about actual money that has been lost, financial loss that has happened just in Coimbatore. Okay, so when this financial loss happens, there are three risks that comes in. One, you lost money. The second, you lost operations. There are a lot of times when cyber attacks happen, your factories may not function. Right? So there is operational loss, your business comes to a stop, you cannot do billing, you cannot send your goods and things like that. So that is operational loss. Third is reputation loss. Imagine somebody does a Google search, you're going in for an IPO, right? Or you're asking for some funding from a private equity company, or you're looking for more finance. If they just do Google of your company and they find that you have been attacked, do you think they're going to be investing in you? There's going to be reputational loss, right? So this is something that we'll need to make sure that if there is no cyber security controls, it's not only money that you lose, but money, operational loss, as well as financial loss. There are other numbers. These are all statistics that is there in terms of what happens from a cyber security standpoint, and I'm going to call out data which is very particular to promoter driven organization. So we do a survey on an annual basis, and as part of the survey, this is what we have realized, that 74% of the companies said that they have been attacked at least once. 74%, and I'm not talking about large companies, it is MSMEs and private companies, right? The second one is 33% of that same company said they have been attacked 2 times. Okay, and most of the companies have, in whatever we did, 90% of them were Asia Pacific, right? And India contributed a lot in terms of the companies that got surveyed, right? And we are very close to Coimbatore, that data point also I have mentioned, right? Apart from that, today, from a geopolitical standpoint, we know about Project Sindoor. You must be wondering, why is Project Sindoor, Operations Project Sindoor is here? Did anybody from Deloitte or somebody went to the war? Actually, we did not go to the war, but what was actually happening is the attacks that were happening on organizations, large banks, government sector, lot of companies, was more in terms of the attacks, cyber attacks that was happening, and all cyber professionals, including people in your own offices who are taking care of cyber security, was defending your company to making sure the loss is protected, right? So Project Sindoor is not only about the war, but in terms of what each of us had to undergo when the war was happening. And similarly, you have lot of other data points that are there. And I can confidently say that many of us, including many people in our office, go and click wrong links. Have you all clicked any wrong link? When a message bank, some message came from a bank, thinking it was bank, we pressed. Yes, so honestly, some people are raising hands, but those are all risks where your money can get lost, right? So that's something that we will need to be aware of. Now, there are 3 key trends that is very common to MSMEs. These are some things that are very relevant to everybody in this room. The first one is in terms of manufacturing. Textile manufacturing and manufacturing companies are targeted. Earlier, only financial systems used to get targeted, but now your factories are getting targeted. That is a trend that we are seeing. The second trend is AI, right? They're using artificial intelligence to crack, right? Earlier we used to do something manually. Today, whatever a system can be broken within minutes using AI. So we will need to make sure that risk with respect to AI and how AI is being used, and this is being used on MSMEs as well. And the last one is in terms of operational vulnerabilities. This is very, very common again. You would have heard about patching, right? Whether let's take your phone is there, it will always keep saying update your patch on your phone, right? Similarly, on the office systems also, there will be patches that we will need to get updated. Most of the attacks that happen today, are because of non-patching, which means that the latest patches or the latest version of the computer, whatever is the software, has not been updated. And that is the biggest risk that you have. So maybe tomorrow when you go back, you can just double click in terms of your computer and see whether you're running on the latest version of whatever has been published by the vendors of whoever has supplied your machine. This is the most common vulnerability. And social engineering. Social engineering is nothing but you share your password or you keep simple passwords. These are the mechanisms through which cyber attacks happen. So it's not very complicated. Simple mistakes that we do is the reason why cyber attacks are happening, and that is something that we will need to take care. Now, the government has also come up with lot of regulations with respect to cyber security, because they want more investments to come into India. So they have made sure that there are a lot of cyber security related regulations that are come up. There are two things that I will speak about. One is the DPDP bill, which is the data protection bill. This particular bill is applicable to all of us in this room. By May 13, 2027, we all have to be compliant with the data protection bill. Okay, how many of you have started working on it, on DPDP? Whether it is applicable to you, not applicable to you, what is your impact? Okay, so we have a small survey, maybe we can share that with everybody. You can just take you answer that set of questions, 10, 15 questions, then we can tell you what is your readiness with respect to this data protection bill, what is its applicability to you, as well as what is your readiness, right? So by May 13, 2027, we will need to be compliant to this particular bill to the extent that is applicable to each of us. The second one is, there is a body called the CERTIN. They have come and said there are 15 things that MSMEs have to take care with respect to cyber security. Only 15 things. Okay, very simple things that we will need to make sure that it is being taken care. That is something my colleague Vimal will walk you through. It is as simple as doing trainings with respect to cyber security, patching. So like that, there are 15 things. That is something that we will share with you, right? And apart from that, there are a lot of other regulations that are there with respect to cyber security, which we will need to be aware of. And two things that will be important to you is something that I had mentioned. Now, this is overall in terms of the trends that we are seeing from a cyber security. These are all global trends that are there, not very relevant to MSME, but with respect to global trends. Cyber security is no longer a topic which is it's not a technical topic, okay? Even your CEO, your board members, right, they're all worried about in terms of what's happening, okay? The most important thing that happens is if some attack happens let's take in a particular industry, immediately we will have clients calling up and asking us what is the impact of this, right? So it's something that it's very relevant from a board and CEO standpoint, and 86% of whoever we speak in the industry have said that cyber is an important topic, right? So that is something that I just wanted to cover. And the other thing is, in terms of whenever you're looking at digital transformation, if you're moving your, let's take your IT team says that they want to store everything on cloud, you'll need to ask what is the security of you moving to a cloud. It doesn't mean that, once you move the data onto your cloud, everything is secure. You also have to ask certain questions to see how your data gets protected in cloud. So it's not blindly that if they tell you it is on cloud, that everything is secure. You will also need to have certain guardrails at your end to making sure your data does not get compromised, okay? One will be your, data is very important to all of us, right? One, it could be certain IPs, right? There are many manufacturing, the IP of your entire production is the most important, right? More than the financial information. So you will need to make sure that those information is protected. If you think it is kept on cloud, can anybody hack into that particular cloud environment and compromise your data? Do you do vulnerability assessment on a periodical basis, right? To see what are the loopholes that are there in your system. Do you ask the right questions to your third party, right? You go and some of your work is done by your contractors or by a third party vendor. How do you make sure that the security around those areas are correct? So it's very important for you to be aware in terms of what the cyber security posture is, and there are few things that you will need to do to making sure that your environment is secure. right? And the other is in terms of when you're doing digital transformation and if you're using AI, you will also need to make sure that that is also secure. So whatever technology that you have in your organization, I think it's important for you to go and understand what the technology is and ask relevant questions to your IT team to see, or ask yourself or your IT team to understand whether those controls have been put in place. And if you have outsourced your IT to a third party, ask the third party in terms of some certifications that they can have to making sure that your data is protected, right? You want to cover this?
Rupa,
Yes, sir.
I just want to add two reflections on this. One is, this market largely is in the part of the supply chain to many of the parent multinational organizations.
Yes.
Therefore, the trend what the multinational organization is, because their data, their supply chain, their pricing is protected here. Obviously, the IT environment is creating that stress. I think some of the major vendors are already in the vendor pressure. Therefore, what is the experience, because you have been working with the corporates, large MNCs, what is their IT policy talks about the IT security of the vendors, right? That's something which is gaining. What is the tone at the principal? For example, if you are working with Toyota, we are many of my friends in this room may be supplying components to Toyota.
Yeah.
What is their reach out to the vendor? What is the expectation of the IT maturity they need to achieve?
Yeah.
What is the tone at the top? You have been advising them
sure.
at that top.
Okay.
What is the preparedness, me as a vendor, to reach there?
Okay.
Just few
Yeah.
points.
So the first thing is, if you are a vendor to one of the large MNC, you would have signed certain agreements, right? In that agreement, there will be annexure. In that annexure, there would be something called information security policy. Definitely that particular, sir, to answer your question, information security, you will be in compliance to the information security policies of, in this example, Toyota. I'm not naming Toyota. You will need to be in compliant to Toyota's information security policy. It could be Toyota, it could be any other company, right? You have already taken an undertaking that you will comply with it. Whether you have seen that annexure, whether you've put controls in that particular annexure, are you monitoring that, is a question that you will need to ask. So the first tone at the top is, they give you a checklist of the controls that you will need to keep in mind, and maybe Vimal will speak about it because he does this on a regular basis, right? So that is the first one. Second, you will need to implement those controls. It's not that it's not, they might tell you it is a self-declaration, right? So you can just say, okay, self-declaration, my IT team said, usually what you do, self-declaration many a times, okay, if I'm signing something, I'll ask Vimal, have you checked it? He'll say yes, then I sign, right? If you do that, and if you're in non-compliance, because they will come for an audit, right? They categorize vendors as A, B and C category. You may at this point of time be a B or a C category, but they will come for inspection. So when they come for inspection, you will need to make sure that you are able to show evidences that you are secure. Third, if your information is lost, that has a bigger ramification, say for example in this Toyota. So they are going to have implication, because if there is loss in your side, they have a reputational loss at their end. So that is how it gets covered. So the starting point will be in terms of the checklist that you have signed as part of your agreement. Yeah? You want to go ahead? This has the supply chain, so you may want to talk about it. Next one.
That's an area where you can amplify, concentrate time
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. You want to talk about what we
Sure.
cover in TPRM?
Because that's be more applicable for many of the members of this.
Yeah.
Therefore, the supply, we are the part of the supply chain program where there is a cost, there is a risk. How you are viewing from the top, because I know that you guys are doing from the principal side, and some clarification on that will help the audience.
Sure, definitely. So, yeah, I think initially when we started from the supplier assurance standpoint, for many of our clients, it was kind of a detective approach. So eventually we have matured ourselves. So every time any a third party vendor is getting associated, we got ourselves embedded within the sourcing workflow. So any vendor might be an RFP or for a particular product or particular service. If the client is going to request for the RFP part of it, they used to get for the evaluation purposes. So in those cases, what we do is we have something called MCSR, which is nothing but minimum cyber security requirements. So first evaluate if in case a third party vendor, are they going to access any of the information? Are they going to have any access to our systems or applications? So basis those particular factors, they become applicable for MCSR, which is nothing but minimum cyber security requirements. And it is not about we straight away sign the contract, as Eva rightly said. We perform a quick analysis of those particular requirements by evaluating the policies, or there are multiple assurance reports like the SOC 2 report, SSI 18 report, which can be evaluated to understand what is the security posture of a particular third party. So this becomes a kind of an preventive in nature when compared to detective. So we get embedded ourselves in the sourcing workflow, we perform that analysis, and if in case the security posture of a third party is well within the threshold part of it, then we accept it. If not, we provide them the list of all of those findings which are required to do business with the client. So once until unless they are not aligned, we don't sign the contract. Once they are aligned on that one, then the contracting goes further and then we get them onboarded.
Yeah. And what domains that we cover as part of information, the third party risk management is simple things, right? Whether you have adequate password policies, do you have, these are the 9 components, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8 components, right? The first one is whether you have policies in place, right? Do you do a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing on a regular basis? Third, do you do awareness sessions within your organization? Then whether you have plant security, if suppose if you are manufacturing a component, do you have enough physical and logical security with respect to your organization, are few things that we check as part of the third parties also, right? So, and this is applicable to all of you in terms of MSME. These are some of the, we've not given you the complete list, right? We've said these are the bare minimum things that you will need to do with respect to cyber security, right? Yeah. And this particular one is something that we will get into little detail, where Vimal will explain what does secure, prevent, detect, respond and cyber insurance means to MSME.
Sure. Thank you, Deepa. And I think as Deepa had mentioned, there are some basic criterias which the CERT-in also mentions for every single company that has to be, at least they have to integrate and benchmark themselves with respect to these security baselines. So these are the 5 pillars. We call it secure, prevent, detect, respond and cyber insurance. So when we talk about secure, it is just about building up the framework. So anything from the security standpoint, when we talk about, the first things which comes is the governance part, and then comes the framework. So we need to build a framework along with the roles and responsibilities for each of those processes. Someone has to take the responsibility and assurance to get it implemented.
Yeah. So if you look at in your house, right, what lock you will use within your organization is the secure pillar, right? Prevent is to making sure that the lock can be, you'll actually have the right key to do it is prevent. Nobody can open it. Detect is somebody comes into your organization, how do you kind of see whether if someone has come in, what is it that they have done is the detect piece. Respond is okay, if they have come and taken some information, how do you respond to it? And then if everything has gone bad, how can I protect myself with insurance? So if you can visualize this in terms of a car key or a brake or anything, these are the 5 pillars, right? Just wanted to add, sorry.
Sure, Deepa. And a real-time example, right? So if I say prevent, how do I prevent? So we have a strong passwords in place. So if we have a strong passwords in place, that is where we call it as a prevent. Detect would be a kind of an activity wherein we are monitoring if in case someone is trying to hack the system. That is nothing but a kind of a detect option wherein we identify something and we act upon it. Respond would be the incident management. Anyone, I think if in case there is any incident happening, So there is a protocol or a procedure that we need to follow. We ensure all of those processes are mentioned, and then we try to recover the systems. I think that is majorly, and cyber insurance is an option if in case you want to have your systems insured in case of any breaches or incidents. That gives you as an option as well.
Yeah, so that's what we wanted to cover today from cyber security standpoint, to making sure that you are vigilant. If you are vigilant, you will be able to kind of make sure that your valuations will get better. And any digital transformation that you're talking about, please make sure that cyber is embedded by design. And it's bare minimum things for MSMEs that is given by certain is what we have covered here. We will share this presentation to the organizers for you to ensure that you've taken care of this. And if there is any doubts that you have, we have a local team in Coimbatore who's taking care of cyber security. We have Rajshekhar, he's here. So if you have any questions which is very local, that you want to have a conversation in Coimbatore itself, my team is available to clarify any doubts that you will have. Thank you.
All right, thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Deepa and Mr. Vimal Kotari. Pretty scary to think about what all has been said, but it's at least nice to get a small insight into what we need to learn, and I think what we need to learn is quite a lot. Moving on, the next topic would be Introduction to Tax Technology. It is going to be handled by Mr. G.S. Sundareshwaran, Executive Director, Deloitte India, and Mr. Vinod, Associate Director, Deloitte India. Mr. G.S. Sundareshwaran, Executive Director, Global Business Tax Practice, Deloitte India, extensively worked on compliance and advisory engagements relating to both domestic and cross-border taxation. Represented large corporate clients before tax authorities at various stages of litigation, have over 18 years of experience in handling clients of corporate international tax, including investment structuring, tax treaty interpretation and tax litigation. He is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and holds a bachelor's degree in commerce, master's degrees in financial management, and master's degree in business administration and SLP with IIM Lucknow. Mr. Vinod is a chartered accountant and holds a bachelor's degree in commerce, has over 9 years of experience in handling indirect tax matters of multinational and domestic companies with respect to advisory, compliance and litigation services. He specializes in textiles, automobile, IT, ITES and logistics sector. He has extensive experience in tax refunds, tax optimization, due diligence and restructuring assignments. He has worked with clients in the IT, ITES, FS, media, manufacturing and host of other services. From a corridor perspective, he has worked with many US-based companies, right from the incorporation to handling complex indirect tax issues. Over to Mr. Sundareshwaran and Mr. Vinod.
Thank you. Good evening. I know that we have taken much time to explain the threats. Let me also put across how we are going to ease the business. I think Mr. Rangaswamy set the context on digitalization, also adaptation to technology, how do we really do it, and also how do we really give the ease of doing the business. That's something which is a concentration which we also have. That's the reason we have brought in several asserts which we call as tax tools. So just a summary of the tools. I think we have got these tools to bring more ease to the business which we do. Many of us would see TDS as a normal compliance, as a process, but I think the early advantage of adapting to technology has gone to the income tax department. I remember way back in 2018, when I met the Commissioner TDS, he said that I'm just a courier man. I'm just taking printouts of the demand notice which is coming to my table and signing it off and sending it. I'm not even verifying it because it's completely controlled by technology. There is nothing for me to interpret in it. There is nothing for an officer to review because it's all completely controlled by technology. That's 7 years before. And I'm sure we are still doing manually lot of tax TDS return. And that's where we have come with the tech TDS tool, which is going to be helpful in doing an end-to-end compliance. And I'm sure that this is the case with many wherein the TDS department, as we file the TDS return, it quickly churns out and give you a demand notice saying that XYZ line items are actually not correct. The PAN is wrong. There is a wrong PAN which is associated. This SSC is not actually valid. So all these, they come up in much quick time, maybe in less than 10 days as we file the TDS return. But we find it very difficult from our own accounting system to figure this out. I think these are the key pain points which we had in our mind when we developed a tool like Tech TDS, and that's in two form. One side of it is when we do a expenses sort of reconciliation, which is more associated with our compliances. But when we look at our Tech TDS is also supporting the reconciliation with 26 AS. This is the income side of it. We all take the credit directly from 26 AS and use it for the purpose of filing tax return. We feel that is sacrosanct. But we don't understand that our own TDS receivable in the accounts book doesn't match with 26 AS because of various reasons. Probably there is a part credit in 1 year, there is multiple payment by the single party, one invoice is partly paid, one TDS in different year, but we don't have a track of all those items to find out. I would say from my own audit experience in the past, what is TDS is a real cash in the system. The asset actually exists in the form of a TDS certificate then, in the form of TDS credit now. But with all these, what is happening currently is we don't have a track of what exactly is to be received. And again, that's the reason we have brought a reconciliation in terms of identifying where exactly is the gap between tax deducted by the party on us, the income offered, and the actual TDS receivable as per our TDS ledgers. So when we look back our own the account schedule, we would know that TDS receivable has never been reconciled because it has got past year entries, it has got previous year entries. That made us think that it is important to have a reconciliation done. Those are the pain points. Again, when we look at preparation for tax audit, audit by itself is a large exercise. I've been associated with audit for 20 years. Audit process nowadays never ends. It goes on and on. But when it all gets over, we come with another bunch of audit exercise in the form of tax audit. How do we really help in doing this exercise far more easier? That's where we brought in Tech 3CD, which is going to be an end-to-end offering in terms of support to tax audit. We went clause by clause, identify from where we should take up the requisite numbers, where will be accounts, giving those numbers, how do we really derive those numbers. All those things are done as part of Tech 3CD preparation. When it comes to the tax litigation organizer, that's more to do with the overall litigation pending at various forum. If you take a company today, it has got definitely litigation pending with various forum. There could be some n number of showcase notices from GST angle, from erstwhile service tax angle, which is still pending at various areas, and there are also some which is corporate tax related, which is pending. There is no clear track of where exactly a notice is pending and what is the demand. If there is a demand which is going to get fructified, we are not sure when it is going to get fructified. One fine morning it could hit us as something which is an outstanding in the tax department and they could question us. It is important to have a litigation organizer, and our dashboard will give you a one-stop shop of all the litigation pending in various forum with the amount involved, with the demand actually to be paid or the refund which is actually due, and give you a summary. That's about the tax litigation organizer. Bolt-on is obviously our the end-to-end tool in terms of indirect tax support. It's a great tool which we have hit the market. We have come with Bolt-on 2.0 with superb artificial intelligence and Gen AI effect. So this is going to help you in indirect tax compliance completely. And our own AI tool, Tax Pragya. I'll introduce what is Tax Pragya in brief when I'm going to take you to the ensuing slides. I'm not going to take you to the entire presentation. The presentation is available. It will be shared with you. But I'm going to bring out certain salient features which you want to highlight in each of those tools and how it really works. Obviously, each of those tools comes with a demo of 1 hour plus. And wherever you require such demo, we'll be able to organize it for your own organization specific to your needs, and that can be separately done. Obviously, we can approach through our own organizational setup with our own team. To also give you a background about compliance monitor, that's not a complete tax tool, but that's a regulatory tool which give you an end-to-end monitoring of various law. Today, a chief compliance officer or a company secretary in an organization is responsible for compliance under various law, many of which we not even been aware of. But it is important as a company where we stand in the compliance, and that's why we brought in Deloitte Compliance Monitor. So in substance, these are the assets we have, and this is what I'm going to put forth, and I'm going to only cover the salient features. That's about the technology which I introduced. When it comes to the tech TDS, one important aspect which I would like to highlight is ERP agnostics. We are not worried about what is the type of ERP, whether it is Tally ERP or even a SAP environment or even a low-end software or even a software which is indigenous. We are still covering all these aspects with our own methodology by which we could download certain key ledgers, and with that we can do this mapping. And that's something which is essential. Obviously, I will share this slide, so it may not be relevant to take a screenshot. If you want to really take up some of this area, you are free to do it. It also gives you the validation sanity checks from a government sites. The most important problem which we face in real time is incorrect PAN. Lower deduction certificate not being properly factored. Some of the PAN numbers are not valid. An individual who is also doing a partnership business, wrong PAN given, wrong entity name attached. A company which has actually been servicing, it is an LLP form, we are wrongly mentioned as a company. But some of these could affect the rates which is applicable, some of it would affect the status for which it is applicable. Therefore, it will actually throw up an error at the time of process. All these things are taken care as part of our own process to handle this. One important aspect is we can handle voluminous data. We are not bothered about the line items. We can handle voluminous data, and this is a specific tool which will consider voluminous data and will do it seamlessly without any additional efforts. That's something which we have put in efforts to do in this tool, that it can handle real volume data. These are some of the aspects which I covered already in terms of consolidated file. One aspect is very clearly is the repository of data and audit trail. Majority of us have been doing the compliance, but when we pull it out for an audit or for summarizing it as part of class 34 in tax audit, it is a cumbersome process because that's something which we have to redo the entire tax returns to find out where exactly is an issue. Those things are actually done easily through the tech TDS tool. I spoke about this TDS reconciliation. One key aspect about this TDS reconciliation is that this window of 2018 to 25 ends by 31st of 26, ends by 31st of March 2026. I mean to say the correction window available to correct those TDS return gets over by 31st of March 2026. I think that's a key timeline for us to watch, because we are not sure about what is outstanding to be received. If at all there are TDS correction statements to be processed, it is important for us to take up this immediately. That's something which I want to share as part of the updates, and that is something which will be relevant with our tool as well, because this 26 AS tool would give you the reconciliation in various forms and various report forms. It can give you party-wise details, it can give you credit-wise details, mismatch details are given in various forms. This is something which will also give you a master of overall summary of deviations and where exactly is the deviation found, so that you can go back to the specific client, ask them to correct it if there is any issues around the credit entry which is flowing into 26 AS. That's something which is key about 26 AS reconciliation. These are the features. Obviously, I said that we'll share the slide separately. This one thing is about 3CD. One aspect, I was part of the asset owner of 3CD, and we went class by class to understand what really is an auditor's want, what really is the maker checker requirement, and we have gone at detail to find out class 18, class 34 and class 44, which is on depreciation, which is on TDS, which is on GST, as to how we really automate it. Because this is a tedious approach when it comes to automation.
These areas really require a lot of support from the accounting software, as well as we need to deploy manual effort. We looked into those areas and we started working on it, and that's where we could find out some solutions to class 44 and 34 as well. And this is done seamlessly as part of the 3CD exercise. Obviously 3CD is, as I said, is an additional requirement of audit being redone. So we have made it very easy for an auditor to review it. The 3CD will not only be prepared, it can also be downloaded in JSON form and uploaded as such. So when we prepare it through our software, we could prepare it as a summary, send it for auditors review. Auditors can review it, make their comments, we can change, we can adapt those comments and send it back to them for a final approval. Moment the approval comes in, we can generate the JSON and the JSON can be uploaded. This sort of seamless exercise can be done with Tech 3CD, and this is one of an important area wherein the time involved in back and forth reviewing is saved. Also the manual efforts in reconciliation is substantially saved. Tax litigation organizer, I spoke about it in terms of how efficient it is. I would say the salient feature of this is that we have nearly mapped. Obviously. So, okay, I'll just move on to Pragya. I'll just add one point here, that the computation of income tax interest is robust, and we have worked on this efficiently so that it matches or even be more clear than the income tax department site itself. So if we download an interest working here, it will be giving an absolute working of 244A, the refund interest, or even the other areas of interest which is outstanding and due to us, with a computation, and that can help us in presenting this before the department as well.
To add here, all of us have to recognize that the government of India and the department is moving towards pre-filled returns.
Yes.
Therefore, 2 years from now, every assessee will have to only say concur or disagree.
Correct.
Therefore, the technology backend is required for every assessee internally to say yes or no.
Certainly.
It is not going to give you a choice. It's going to be a pre-filled return, and they are going to say this is a tax you have to pay. Either you agree or disagree.
Sure.
If you have to disagree, you need data. That's where the technology backend becomes important.
I would say even today the situation is similar, sir. They have all the data sacrosanct, and we are going back to answer them for our own accounting data, which they have much better. Yes. 3CD does a pre-fill, sir. 3CD will prepare a pre-filled return.
See, the way I learn is that 3 years from now, the job of an assessee is very simple. They have to agree or disagree, because they have the AI engine. They are going to say this is the tax you have to pay. It's going to be rule based. Unless you have a matching pre-filling infrastructure.
Definitely. So we have worked on near
more use cases comes there.
Sierra, your point is valid. In fact, that's what I said in the opening remarks, where the government is looking to integrate all the systems, including the withholding, tax returns, GST, everything, where it will have a pre-filled return, which will make the compliance cost very low, and that is what the government is moving towards that. And this technology tool, what is being projected here, will also lead towards the direction, Sierra.
So quickly moving on to Tax Pragya. So Tax Pragya is our AI research tool, which is Deloitte AI owned tool. I'll just give you a background of how this has been the authentic tool which we can provide. First of all, it has got 1.2 million plus data of case laws into the system. So you would have seen in the news that recent Supreme Court finding that they have been presented a case laws through AI, and ultimately they found out there is no such case law. So it is called an hallucination effect, which is completely been lowered to 0.1% in our AI tool, because majority of case, when you ask ChatGPT a question about a person, it hallucinate and say a person is imaginary exist and there is a case law like this, which may not be absolutely true. while we developed our own AI, we have been made sure that all these are backed up properly. If you are citing a case law, the case law citations are also being provided. It is also giving a text out of such case law, and our Pragya will give you a robust research for and against research. I have some screenshots which I could share, and it has already got internal subscribers as well as external subscribers. This has been offered free for a while, and there is an access which we could provide to just see how it works. It comes with agile and clarity in terms of a contextual understanding. It is coming with a long language module. All these things are technical inputs. In a simple language, I would say it is coming with an easy, common understanding machine language wherein you could search with a free English language, and you can also reach out to refined research. That's something which we are offering out of this AI tool. I would say we have also built in a subscription model for this. It goes with a number of queries, a number of users, and we could make it as convenient as possible. You should definitely try some of these as part of our overall support, because you will find this is more clear in terms of the results which it throws out. And while we have many other AI which is already operating in different field, our own AI is clear in terms of what it has to throw out as a input and output in tax. So it's very clear in terms of their outputs, and we have also tested some of this output in terms of how clear it is and how viable in terms of the research it coming out. So that is something out of the one example is this is the framework. This is the opening landing page of Pragya, which will give our tax engine and chatbot. Chatbot is about LLM models, which modules I said about. And when you see, I just searched about India-Mauritius treaty, and we have a Tiger Global case. So it gave out all the summary in a nutshell. It also gives you a favorable ruling, unfavorable ruling, and also it gives you in substance, in few lines, what exactly this ruling is all about. So that is the way by which we could understand about a particular issue and what is the clarity which we could bring on the table. And this is generally the conclusion, and you can also look at other areas. So, and this is what I just said, we have reduced the hallucination, and it is very clear where is this defined learning from, where is this defined artificial intelligence from. So we bring out the case laws from where we have also taken the inputs. So that's about Pragya. I'll quickly hand it over to, in brief, in another 2 minutes, I think you need to introduce bolt-on.
So I'll just give the context. So why this tool is required is many of us will be experiencing a lot of changes in the GST landscape, right? So it's still evolving. So when I say evolving, in 2017 when GST law was introduced, the returns were GSTR 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so now we are continuing with 1, 2 and 3 got suspended. After that in 2018 they have come up with a new return called ANX 1, 2 and all. After that it's e-way bill introduction, e-invoice introduction, changes in the return, ISD becoming mandatory. Now IMS is becoming mandatory as well. So since the law is changing from a return compliance standpoint, so this tool helps us. In a click of a button you'll be able to file GST returns, e-invoicing compliances, e-way bill compliances, everything can be automated. This is point number 1. And second, point number 2 is that so department has lot of information, because while filing tax audit report, as Sundar sir mentioned, we would have reported GST related purchases, from whom we are purchasing, and also department comes up with 26 AS reconciliation. They take the TIS and AIS information which is available in the income tax website, and then they ask us to reconcile. So with the help of handling the audits and assessments to the department, this tool will be helpful. And also one additional point is that you can do a vendor management basically. So you take the 2B, compare with your purchase register on a regular basis whether your vendor has filed the GST returns or not, and then because it affects your input tax credit, which directly affects your working capital. This is point number 3. Point number 4 is search based and inquiry based audits, because since the GST department has lot of information with them, so they compare, they marry, they have the data logics put in place, because at the time of registration, when we have applied for GST registration, we would have given the HSN codes, that is high level, top 5, okay? But whereas today practically the department has taken that information basis the vendor or the taxpayer marrying with the HSN codes that was given, and many of us are receiving notices saying that the input tax credit is not available to you. Let's assume for example, I am a steel trader where I am also providing a warehouse for a rent, okay. So in such a case, the department is assuming that you are buying steel from me, which is ineligible. So you are getting notices for these things. You can use Tax Pragya where you can upload the notice and then the Tax Pragya helps you in preparing the responses, okay. So by which way you will be able to concentrate or depute your most of the time in I would say strategy, decision making in the more complex way that rather than putting it in your compliance. So just last slide. Our tool is VAPT, as Deepa ma'am mentioned. Our tool is, all the tax asset tools are certified, vulnerability and pen testing certified, SOC 2 certified, ISO 27001 certified. So your data is safe and secure. And lastly, as Sundar sir mentioned, it is ERP agnostic. Any ERP, it can match.
Yeah, it's a bolt-on is, I said, our champion tool, and it has been deployed. That's the reason we come up with bolt-on 2.0 to bring out to the new version. So last one which I want to cover.
So the bolt-on, two things which I wanted to clarify to the group here. It is ERP agnostic. You can have any ERP, and the bolt-on system works with any ERP. It is ERP agnostic. Second one, we have a light version of bolt-on also for the small size and the mid-size organ. What was showed as a bolt-on as a model, but as an organ we have a light version of bolt-on which can be used for the mid-size organizations which may not have that much of voluminous data. The one more aspect of bolt-on which I requested Sundareswaran to go to Pragya tool, which is what is called a litigation tracker, is interlinked with bolt-on. For example, you have a 30 registrations, and every state gives a registration, sends a notice. That notice will be in one particular site. You might have missed that notice itself. Whereas the bolt-on here searches the notice in all the sites, and then it displays to you that this notice has come, you have not responded. You can do that. And fourth important aspect of this bolt-on is that your reconciliation. One of the big challenges in the GST audit is that the reconciliations between the sales input credit and output credit. So the bolt-on gives it. So essentially, the bolt-on has got all the features for you, and it works for big organizations as well as a mid-sized organizations because we have a light version. That is what we do. And another aspect of bolt-on is that people keep asking, Shekhar, how about the data security? Data is absolutely secured. We host it in the cloud. It is absolutely secured. That's number one. And the last aspect which I would like to cover on bolt-on is we have two models. We provide a license and you can operate it. But what will happen in that model, very often you will come back to me. This data is not there, that is not there, that is not there. So we take a service model by which we take your entire responsibility of data and also handling your GST, show cause notices, representation, everything, we take it across as a managed services model. So that is what I just wanted to clarify to the group.
Last one is the compliance monitor. I told about this is not specifically to tax, but it covers all the laws and gives you a one-stop exercise on all the compliance which we need to adhere to as a company. I spoke about agnostic to software. It is industry agnostic, wherein it covers a law pertinent to various industries and how we have to comply. It also gives you a status of compliance on a particular date and whether there are any deviation, and deviations are also reported. This is again our primary tool. It is across country. It is more being done with other major countries as well, and this is a Deloitte developed tool which has been running over the years. In terms of breach areas and the regulatory change dashboard, it's clear on where are the areas wherein a company need to concentrate. As a compliance officer, where are the areas wherein there is a regulatory defaults which could be there on the table for which we need to take immediate actions, and all those are highlighted as part of the breach register and the regulatory charge. So this is something which is coming out of a Deloitte compliance monitor.
So let me just give a little bit more background about this. What is this tool will help you out? Today, if you have a board member who will ask whether I have complied with all the regulations in India. Suppose you have offices outside India, even a branch office, whether you have complied with the regulations outside India. 3, as a CEO today, a CEO and CFO is the KMP, so anything that non-compliance will come back to you. So this compliance monitor lists all the regulations, SEBI, company law, FEMA, Stamp Act, all the regulations are there, and then we keep updating the regulations because we have a backup team, strong backup team to do that. Now when we have this, like what I talked about the bolt-on, we work with your team, take the data on a regular basis, put the data, and you will get a dashboard reports on a monthly basis, whether it is compliant, non-compliant. If it is non-compliant, what is the level of risk, is it a red, green, moderate, that sort of a compliance list will come. The second important aspect is that our team is, now the labor code has come out. We are still working the integrating the labor code forms because the rules, draft rules have come, still final rules have not come. Moment that comes, probably we will be integrating that forms with this Deloitte compliance monitor. The last important aspect of this Deloitte compliance monitor is that any regulation, for example, I am just sharing with one of the client experience, it's a real estate organization where the real estate organization has got multiple compliances in different states. So my Deloitte compliance monitor captures all the regulations in each state, tells you whether you are complied or not. As I said, it cannot make you to comply, but it tells you whether you are complied or not. From there you need to pick it up. And again, this also runs on a 2 model, a license model or a service model. It runs on both sides. And one more thing, this also we have a lighter version and a heavy version. It depends on the organization which picks it up across. It's dynamic, sir. It's a real time. For example, if you are subscribed to the tool, if there is any notification has come on that, you will get that notification also, and the tool gets updated following it. It's a real time because we have a solid what we call the research team who does that job predominantly. That's what.
Last aspect is the Vardhan one. I think you wish to share this as well. So is a light version which Shekhar sir just told. It's all been there as part of this module which is Vardhan, wherein we are trying to bring in all the light versions so that it is affordable in terms of the cost. Also it gives you the end-to-end service in terms of how do we effectively support MSME. I think this is a platform wherein all these tools get unified and the light versions are available for usage.
Yeah. This is, I just want to spend 2 minutes on this Vardhan, and this may be very relevant to all of us, and particularly I request support from all the chamber presidents here. This tool is meant exclusively for MSMEs. This is not meant for anything. All the light tools are integrated with that. And what we are looking at is Vardhan as a single platform by which all your compliances gets covered in that. And one of the things that we are looking at is as an organ which I am overall responsible for that entire thing from India side, and Raju takes care of South market. We would like to work with the chambers of commerce where we can socialize the tool with your members, and we are also working out a structure, still not come out to that, probably will be coming out, where we would like to work with the chambers of commerce for all your members who are MSMEs, who are small time payers, can get access to the tool through the chambers of commerce. We are working that model. So that's what I go back to my first statement when you talked about how are you going to service MSMEs. For the compliances, this is the answer for that. That's what I just want to answer.
Yeah, I think that's the background with Vardhan, and with that we have our own tools and assets presentation. So any specific queries, as I said, we would require a 1 hour demo of each of those tools to be understood completely. You are free to access those demos. Yes. Yeah, we can do it on a VC model specific to your requirement. Also affordability, this is based on the sizing questionnaire
every transactions count, and based on the number of transactions only there is a commercially viable model which we run. Yeah, we can do a proof of concept and then work on. That's how we've been doing it. We had a recent conversation with other clients in Coimbatore, wherein we are working on a POC specific to them based on number of transactions. So it will be also cost effective, affordable, and also giving you a meaningful invention of what we are trying to do here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sundareshwaran and Mr. Vinod. I understand that the both of you are chartered accountants, but looking at the tools that you present, I don't know the relevance of chartered accountants few years down the line. I think we'll probably be able to do the audits ourselves. Sure, sir, definitely.
Going forward, because the way department has adapted to it, yeah, also a separate debate on the relevance of CEs.
Sure, sir, definitely we will, and we'll definitely try to organize.
My career in technology.
Okay. So we'll definitely organize an online session for this. Moving on, the last speaker of the day, Mr. Rajiv Sundar. He's going to give you an overview of the MSME focused service offerings that Deloitte has. We've seen quite a few till now. We'll wait and see what else he has to offer. Mr. Rajiv Sundar is an MBA partner based in Bangalore with over 30 years of experience, including 2 decades focused on mergers and acquisitions. He began in audit and assurance before establishing the firm's transition services practice. Rajiv has advised MNCs, large Indian corporates, family businesses, and SMEs on several marquee transactions, and previously directed Deloitte India's Technology Fast 50 Awards. His expertise spans M&A strategy, valuations, post-merger integration, operational reviews, and risk management. He has held key leadership roles, including COO of National Advisory and lead relationship partner for major clients. Rajiv now focuses on supporting client strategy initiatives in India's emerging business cities. Over to you, Mr. Rajiv.
Firstly, my many thanks to the association for giving us this platform. I know Shekhar has given a lot of view around how we are here to support and how our offerings and services are going to be majorly curated to supporting the MSME market, which is what I'm here to talk about. While most of my colleagues have spoken at length about a number of topics, this deck is available with the association, so I'm not going to run through this deck. I'm conscious that we are close on 7:45, so I'll keep this very sweet and brief. But I just wanted to, apart from the bolt-on service, the Vardhan, the MSME platforms that we are talking about, that are all available on a subscription mode, on a as you want to use basis. So it's really not expensive. We're leveraging the benefit of technology to see how it can benefit all of you. But the one thing that I'd like to focus on, which is really something that we are proud of from a conceptualization point of view, and thinking through how we can, in a holistic basis, work with SMEs, MSMEs, and help them grow and help them with their future growth ambitions. So this is not something where we are going to come and talk, oh, I'm from a tax point of view, I'll talk tax, oh, I'm from a M&A point of view, I'll talk M&A or strategy, or I'm from audit or assurance, which of course, if you really, I don't know, I think this is the wrong file. Sorry, this is, you're welcome to have this file, but I don't want to bore you with 20 slides. There's just one I want to focus on. Yeah. See, this is the normal caricature with any firm will come and big fours will come and say, oh, I do assurance, I do tax, I do strategy. By the way, I sit under strategy, risk, and transaction. That's my core. That's what I do on my day job. Technology transformation. We have had representations from all my businesses today here who have spoken to you. But the solution that we are going to talk to you about, or I'm going to present to you, is not about each individual pocket here. It's a summation of all our capabilities, all our experiences, to see how we can use that to your benefit. So what we mean by a family enterprise offering, I know it's a fancy word. This is really to do with MSMEs, promoter-driven organizations, small sector organizations. It could become large, and we hope it becomes large in the years to come. And this is our endeavor to see how you can become large, how you can start thinking big, how you can implement that thought process to actually become big. So of course, this is some specs, and I will leave this to you. The deck is available. You can please go through all of this. It just talks about a myriad of rationale behind why we are coming up with this topic, why we are looking at this in a holistic basis. But what is it that we are really trying to do? And this is really what we call as a value unlock solution. Again, big words. Don't stress on the solution per se. Just think and focus on the value unlock. What we mean by that is, it is going to be curated to you. One size does not fit all when it comes to strategy, when it comes to transformation, when it comes to how you're going to look at the market, how you're going to expand your market, how you're going to increase your capacities, how you're going to increase your footprint, how your marketing efforts are going to take place, how your brand recognition is going to play out. And more importantly, how you're going to access capital, how do you have financial capability to manage it, whether it's internal sources, whether it's going to leverage in the market, whether it's going to be through the finance credit market, or it's going to be through some form of equity dilution at some point of time in the future. So what are we talking about? We're talking about helping you strategize what you want to do in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. We will be asking the tough questions as to why not this and why this. And we'll also equally be telling you that this is not something that you should think about now, but think about it 5 years from now. Because again, everything will have to be balanced with the cost benefit analysis. Everything that you want to do is going to be very expensive. Do you really have the bandwidth, and do you have the money power to do it, or do you want to pace it out? And pacing it out depends for each industry, each sector, each company, makes a difference. So the whole thought process is to sit with you, iterate with you, think about how you want to grow, what is the path that you want to choose. We will use your discovery model, we will sit with you, spend time with you, understand your business, work with your people, work with you and your families to say what is the rationale from a family ownership point of view versus operational point of view. Make sure that there is a distinction between the two. Both don't try to overlap and cross each other, because that's oftentimes the problem that happens. We'll figure out what works for you from a recognition point of view, pace out what you should be doing at what point in time, how you will enable it, get into the implementation mode. So oftentimes one of the things that, and I'm sure all of you are social media savvy, you would have seen a lot of memes that float around all about the big consulting firms and so on and so forth, who all talk, give very nice, beautiful PowerPoint presentations, give all ideas in the air and then go away. Get the eyeballs from the investors as you grow forward. And this is the intention. You may be 10 crores today, you will be 50 crores tomorrow, you will be 150 crores in 3 years' time. Hopefully in 10 years you will be 5,000 crores plus, whatever as the case may be. And our intention is to stay with you in the journey. So this is, I'm happy to do, whoever is interested, I'm happy to do a detailed workshop around what this really entails. In fact, a few months back we had a very vibrant session, and the way the workshop works is that we don't talk, you talk. And we just give you the templates, we give you the forms, and you fill them up. You're free to change the template. You're free to change the form. Whatever works for you. So about a few months back at one of our flagship events called Coalesce, we had run this workshop with about 30 different promoters. Diverse promoters. The revenue size ranged from 15 crores to 3,000 crores. They all sat on one table and did this exercise for 4 hours. And we are having conversations right now with about 20 of them on how do we really start getting into the discovery and the implementation stage now, because then their own potential they are able to see for themselves. So I'm happy to do that workshop with a small cluster. I don't think a cluster of 50, 60 works. It should be a smaller cluster because then it becomes a lot more intense. It becomes a lot more worth it. So we can do that and then see where it takes you. The only other last thing that I wanted to leave with you was what Shekhar already mentioned, although here it's called the MSME platform. What it's going to be called in our parlance is Vardhan. It's going to be a mix of small bits and pieces of different aspects, right from our bolt-on GST compliance monitoring system to our regulatory compliance monitoring system, to TDS reconciliations, to analytical engines, corporate tax, Pragya, BPS. It's going to be a composite one. And I think Shekhar already alluded to this. What we are going to do is, once this entire platform is launched, which hopefully should be in the next couple of weeks, we will, with the request of the association members, seek some of you, whoever is interested, to try it out. And this is going to be on a completely free basis for you to try it out and see if it works for you. And the more important thing for us at this stage is not to see whether it works for you, but for you to give us feedback on where we can improve it, where you feel that it needs to have a better strengthening to support your needs, and we build that in. And then as we go forward, again, as Shekhar mentioned, it's going to be in a subscription mode. I'm sure that that is not going to be of any cost concern for any of you. I can assure you that. And you can play it. You have 500 transactions a month, you take the light model. You have 5,000 transactions a month, you go to a slightly higher model. You have 50,000, you go to a slightly higher model. So it's completely modulated. And again, we are happy to do this for you, or you can do it on your own. It depends on how you want to play it. So that's our initiative. Hopefully it works. And our intention is not to give it free. Obviously, we'll like to make some money. But again, it's not money from each one of you individually. Our hope eventually, and Shekhar, correct me if the number is wrong, our ambition is to probably reach about 10,000 MSMEs over the next 3 to 4 years, covering the entire breadth of India, who will be accessing this platform and leveraging from it. So, end of the day, we are playing on technology. Volume makes money for us, and we are happy that way. So we don't mind sharing that wealth in a way that is conducive for you to use. So that's my spiel. And more importantly, I think Shekhar also mentioned, so I'm here. Hopefully we will continue our association and we'll engage further with the associations to see how we can be of help and benefit to you. My numbers are available with them, so please feel free to share it with your members. Anybody who wants to pick up the phone or have a conversation on any of these topics, most welcome. Very happy to have that conversation. Anything in your mind as far as what you think any chartered accountant, although maybe that conversation is a different day, but any CA firm or any technology firm or any strategy firm can do for you. Very happy to have that conversation and help you folks with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajiv. I think what should ideally have been done in about 2 days, 2 full days, has been compressed into 2 hours. So everyone was kind of trying to catch up with time. So I think hopefully justice has been done for the time that you have spent, which is about 2 to 2.5 hours. And each of the speakers have committed to do an individual session on each of their whatever they have spoken about, either through virtual mode or in person. And I'm sure, and we also, as the 4 associations, do look forward to those sessions, because each of them are of very, very high caliber and very important, very deep. We look forward to those sessions. On behalf of the organizing associations, Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry Coimbatore, CODISSIA, SIEMA and the Institute of Indian Foundrymen, I extend our sincere gratitude to the distinguished experts from Deloitte for sharing their invaluable insights with us this evening. A heartfelt thanks to Mr. K.R. Shekhar, Mr. Sudhakar Seturaman, Ms. Deepa Sheshadri, Mr. Vimal Kotari, Mr. Sundareshwaran, Mr. S. Vinod, and Mr. Rajiv Sundar for their highly informative sessions. Your perspectives have provided industry members with valuable guidance in navigating the evolving industry and technological landscape. I would also like to thank our office bearers, Mr. Rajesh Loon, President of Chamber of Commerce, Mr. K. Veluswamy, Chairman of IIF, and Mr. Rangaswamy, Vice President of CODISSIA, for their leadership and support in making this collaborative program possible. My appreciation also goes to all the members, participants, and industry representatives who joined us today. Your active participation and engagement truly made this session meaningful and productive. Finally, I thank the organizing teams of all associations and everyone who worked behind the scenes to ensure the smooth conduct of this event. With these words, I once again thank all the speakers and participants for making this program a great success. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you.